You know what? Yeah, just during this situation where all of the racial tensions is quite high. Have you been finding little figures to find out in your life that seem ultra like things you wouldn't have thought about to be racial, but now are racial?
No, go on.
Like the other day, it was even though it was a joke things, it made me laugh. So I was in work and I was going to Tesco to get something for myself. So anyway, so I was like, "Oh, does anybody want anything from Tesco?" And one guy went, "Yeah, do you know? Can you get me a banana?" And I just looked at him and said, "Bruv." I was like, bro, in the time of Black Lives Matter and all the riots and protests, you're asking black man for banana. He goes, bro, I didn't mean it that way. I was laughing because obviously he actually wanted a banana, but the way that I was laughing, I was saying, you see, look, you can find the racism in anything if you look for it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, rodents and other small insects. Welcome to another episode of the Eloquently Saying Nothing podcast. This is 256 episode. Thank you very much for joining us. You can find us on all the social medias at ESN Podcasts and use the hashtag ESN Pod. Once again, that is ESN Pod to start or join in the conversation. Also, we are at esnpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send us any miscellaneous information, questions, or anything like that, thank you very much. I am Stavros Boss.
Get down!
I hope you're all doing well. And in the virtual room with me this very evening, I have DJ Webslinger.
Spider sense tingling.
What's going on, people? DJ Webslinger on Instagram, DJ Webslinger on Twitter.
Also, I have Mr. Wolf.
Get down! I was saying that to myself. I do love that little intro that you have, by the way. Get down. What's going on, people? This is Mr. Wolf in the building. Hope everybody's good. You can catch me on AKA Mr. Wolf on Instagram, AKA _ Mr. Wolf on Twitter. And I got something special for you as per usual. Yoruba proverb. And it goes a little something like this. And the translation to that is the right hand washes the left hand and vice versa is how both hands become thoroughly clean. And the wisdom translation is do and reciprocate kind acts. We all win when we do. We all can give and we should. For real, for real. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's good. And before I kick off, before Big Wahala jumps on, a large remembrance to those who lost their life. Grenfell, we are recording on the Sunday, the 14th of June, and rest in peace to everybody that lost their lives, and we're thinking about you. What's up? What's good?
Yes, indeed. Rest in peace. And last and not least, we have Big Wahala.
At Big Wahala on Insta, Big Wahala on Twitter. What's good, people?
You know what? Let's try this thing. Last week, for you listeners out there, as you know, we're recording remotely. We're using an online software that assists us in recording. It's not Zoom like most everybody else, but we're using stuff where we can obviously you can mute yourselves and whatnot. And I asked everyone to mute themselves because everyone has noisy backgrounds and whatnot. But it seemed to be a higgy hagga effect to the conversation where people were waiting to jump in and out. I've been listening to a bunch of old episodes recently. Our podcast is heavy. I'm telling you guys, our podcast is heavy. Anyway, let me get to the point. If we just all unmute, I know it makes a lot of hard work for me, but when we're in conversational bits, if you just unmute it, it's cool. When you know you're not going to talk for a while, please then mute yourself. Let's do it that way as opposed to the other way around. So everyone can unmute. We'll have a nice little conversation as we start. Jump in when you want to jump in. Just remember not to overlap each other too much. If somebody starts talking, then stop, because that's what causes the problems on the vocals. And,
Master has allowed us to talk and unmute ourselves. Master, thank you. Please, sir, can I have some more sound, sir?
No, I just it blatantly made a difference to the conversation, particularly last week. It worked the week before; it wasn't too much of an issue, but last week for some reason it made a big issue. So I thought, let's just try a different route, and I'll take the time. I'm off work for a couple of weeks, so I can sit there and actually edit. So fair enough, it's not that I have to not get no sleep because I'm going straight to work after this and whatnot. So it is what it is.
It does affect. It does. It doesn't help you when it comes to editing, and I think we appreciate that. So, jokes aside, if we have to mute them, we'll do that. You know what I mean? It's all good. How is everybody, man?
I want to talk about the podcast. In fact, and then I'll answer how I am in momentarily.
Let's just say a large up to our boy Simple Simon, who will join us in a little while. And I think we may be doing a tag team. So where Simple Simon will jump in, I'll be jumping out because I've got an arrangement that I can't get out of. So, large up to Simple Simon.
I think the last time we did that was when
Season 1
recording at Swift's house, yeah. And you tagged in, and Swift tagged out or something like that. It was his own.
I think I tagged out and he tagged in.
Oh, well, no, it was his yard. So somebody had to be in his. He had to let us in. I think it was his yard.
No, I think I had to go to work. I was doing like a night shift or something crazy. That was like 7 years ago, man. Jeez.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore.
But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Can you imagine that lyric right now is applicable? I'm telling you, life is. Let me talk about the podcast first. I want to big you guys up. I was listening to old podcasts with, particularly ones with guests, particularly if it was their first time on. And it was, what I was doing is I wanted to find the old episode where, if you guys remember, we all spoke about times where we got pulled over by the police. So on my podcast app, you can search for just a word that is in the description. And obviously, we do very thorough descriptions. So I just put in the word police and I was going through all our episodes. And there are tons of them with the word police in the description. And I was so I just downloaded all of them I didn't even go through all of them. I downloaded like the last 10 or whatever. I didn't get to the point to that episode, by the way. So I still don't know how far back that is. But we speak about the police a lot. And what it seems to be is very circular. We have spoken about so many black people being killed by the police in previous episodes. It's very disheartening. And then it allows you to understand why we are in the situation we're in now, because it's happened so many times. It's a mad thing. So there was that. And then I was just going through so I could go through that bit again because I thought it was funny at the time. And I found myself just listening to whole old episodes because it was such quality. I think it's once you're a year or two removed from the actual episode, you realize how good the episode was. We are a quality podcast, 256 episodes deep, 9 years, soon to be 10 come October. We were looking to do the live thing in it, but I don't know what's going to happen with that, man. What do you reckon, guys?
I'd like for us to do our recordings as planned first. Boom, boom.
What do you mean?
The plan was for us to record, to do recording.
I don't know why we always have to tell everyone our plans. Talk about that offline, man.
Yeah, I hear you, but we'll get there. But you're right.
Why? Because it's some big secret. It's
but it's like
that nobody else does.
It's like, why do we always have to be telling everybody our plans? For me, it's boring to listen to you, but it's if you and then you don't do it. That just makes it even worse. So then let's talk about it offline.
Everything is boring to you, though. Everything is boring to you
at the moment. Yeah, to be honest,
if we only did stuff that wasn't boring for you, we wouldn't do a podcast.
But a lot of the time, at the moment, a lot of the things that we're discussing has been repetition, isn't it? So it's I don't know. I'm just finding myself quite. As I said, because I'm not. I don't like the remote podding, so I don't find myself as enthusiastic about the conversations as I would in front of somebody, because I do not like telephones. So this to me is like I'm talking to somebody on the telephone, and I don't like talking to people on the telephone, and that's what I feel I'm doing at the moment. There's no reaction. There's no. Like a lot of the time when I'm having these podcast conversations, I want to see Mr. Wolf's face when something is being said, or even when he wants to say something and he's not allowed, or when Webslinger's just laughing there in the corner, or even when you mans are laughing. So it's making it difficult for me to feel my authentic self on the because this for me is not authentic
You get
because
me?
I wouldn't speak to you guys on the telephone. I just wouldn't.
Big Walla misses the man, them.
When was the last time I called you, man, to have a conversation, a long conversation?
It don't happen.
Exactly.
Really?
So what about now doing it on the podcast? I'm ready to go back to the studio, man. But when we get back, we get back in it.
I'm definitely ready. Listening to the old episodes really made me know how ready I am to go back. Two things that were different from back then to now. One was I realized that I was very much more cutthroat as a host back then. If we had 10 like topics or 7, it's like we were going to get through those 10 or 7, and like it would still be the same amount of time, the 2 hours, 2 hours 15. So I would lock off a debate, like, okay, done. It's time for the next one because this is how we're going to get everything in. And I don't know, it seemed maybe to work too, but I was very harsh in just directing conversations. I wouldn't let people go on for too long. It's like, yeah, I listened back to it. It's almost like, wow, Stav, you're kind of harsh, man. You just lock off the man, like, yeah, all right, done. Next thing. Like, I was still talking. Like, yeah, but you're talking too long. It's like I don't do that now. I've been told off for being too much of a, I don't know what, a bad person in terms of not letting people do this or that. So clearly I've eased up, and then it's allowed for the conversation to elongate.
I don't think that we said that much about that on the podcast. I think every week we're always telling you that you should control the conversation. So I don't know. Maybe the wires have been crossed. Maybe your real life and your podcast life has mixed up. Because in your real life, I never want to hear you, so I can understand that one. But in your podcast life, I want you to always tell us to when we're going too far or when the conversation's going too long. I don't have a problem with that. That I don't have an issue
And then
with.
the second thing is just the over talking each other. We over talk each other a lot, and it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. When we get very passionate and we're all jumping into the conversation, it's actually a good thing. So, but it's much harder to do. That is the massive thing remotely. It's not the listening and talking. I don't think it's the cross conversation.
It's being respectful. I remember I've been telling you this for a long time, and you always told me off. I always said to you, a normal conversation between people, there is none of this. Oh, let me wait till the person is finished. When you want to say something, you just say it. That's why I'm saying I get what you're saying with sometimes all the listeners and blah, blah, blah. But if you want to have the authentic conversation between us, man, if I'm saying something and Mr. Wolf thinks I'm chatting rubbish, he's not going to let me finish before he starts laughing at me or cussing me for what I'm saying. He will just cuss me for what I'm saying. Anyway,
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's just you cannot do that every time somebody opens their mouth, though. Or some people need to be able to talk a bit before you just lock them off. That's all. It's not look at Mr. Wolf. If you go back and listen to it, especially recent episodes, like you said, there's people that say, "Mr. Wolf, let him talk." I can go back. I can do a timestamp of how long Mr. Wolf has spoke. He's had his fair share for the past few months.
For past few months, you've been doing this for 10 years, bro. You've been doing this for 10 years. Thank you for allowing me to talk recently.
Master's allowed us to talk now. Master's allowed us to talk. You know what? Yeah, just during this situation where all of the racial tensions is quite high. Have you been finding little figures to find out in your life that seem ultra unnecessary, like things you wouldn't have thought about to be racial, but now are racial?
No, go on.
Like the other day, it was even though it was a joke things, it made me laugh. So I was in work and I was going to Tesco to get something for myself and because Tesco near my area, they don't near my work area, sorry, they don't have no lines. You can just go in basically. So if you go to work, people always tend to go and do shopping there because there's no lines. So anyway, so I was like, oh, does anybody want anything from Tesco? And one guy went, yeah. Do you know? Can you get me a banana? And I just looked at him and said, bruv. I was like, bro, in the time of Black Lives Matter and all the riots and protests, you're asking black man for banana. He goes, bro, I didn't mean it that way. I was laughing because obviously he actually wanted a banana, but the way that I was laughing, I was saying, you see, look, you can find the racism in anything if you look for it.
Not you, Wahala. You're not like the rest of them.
Well, bye. What can you say?
Oh, and so another thing that happened today, I was just driving down the streets. I've been driving today quite a bit actually. Outside is looking nice, man. I think there's going to be a good summer this summer, but I'm just putting my bets on it. But we'll see. But anyway, I saw a mixed race couple. I was going to say an interracial couple walking down the street. Yeah, so a black man and a white woman. All right, and the black man was walking with her, and she was holding half a watermelon. And I was looking at him like, you make sure she holds that watermelon. You don't touch that watermelon, bro. You don't touch that watermelon. Don't let the oppression take you to touch that watermelon. I was in my head. I was thinking anything right now could be seen as a racial tension. But I don't want to try.
What is it like in interracial relationships right now?
I don't even know, bruv.
What's that?
What is it like in interracial relationships right now? Like, are they having conversations they never had before, do you think? Or is it just the business as usual? Or it's like, we're going to the march, we're holding hands?
Did you hear about Eve?
We usually hold hands when we walk down the street, but I'm not holding your hand right now. I don't want any trouble.
I would say it's similar to that. Well, personally, I've had some certain conversations with people at work. So they've asked me questions because they know I love a debate. All the time, even before all of this racial tension thing was going on. So they've asked me questions, They've asked me questions like, what do you think of the statues coming down? That was the most recent conversation I had with someone. And then I kind of like just came in and I said, boom, tell me what you think about All Lives Matter. And two of them that were there came out with some fantastic analogies and just shut it down straight away. And I thought, good, we're on the same page. There's some that I wouldn't even ask a question because I kind of know where they are. We've had certain conversations. I know that they're the far right. I know they're conservative. I know they're Brexit folks. I know they're old school soldier man that's been in the war and, St. George's flag and rule Britannia. So some people I don't bother have the conversation with. But I would go as far as to say that men and women that are in those interracial relationships, it will depend on the previous conversations that you've had. So it will either be uncomfortable or it will be very comfortable holding hands, going to the march together. What kind of relationship are you having out there? Yes, you. That one that's listening to us right now, that's in this interracial relationship. What kind of conversations have you had? You should send us a tweet, man. Trust me.
You know that Eve came out recently and said that her and her husband, who happens to be white and a billionaire, have not had these conversations. And people were like, why have you not had these conversations in the past? I'm like, the man's a billionaire. You just want to shut up and get married.
Because he's rich, bitch. Exactly.
You just want to shut up and get married. You have conversations later.
Before we continue dating, in this private jet, I just want to ask you questions about your issues with black people. Like, taking into account you're actually dating a black person. Because, all right, here's the thing. As a black person, you might see that especially if you're a woman, and a white man has approached you and he's asked you to, so I don't know, we'll see. Maybe black women can tell me. #ESN pod. Let me know. But if you're a black woman who is open to dating whatever race, is at work or on the street or in carnival or wherever it is, a white man approaches you, he's handsome, he approaches you in the right manner, and then, you start dating. Is the first thing in your head, I wonder what he thinks about black women? And leaving out the thing about white men fetishizing black women, I don't want to just focus on that because that's an easy route just to go down. If you overlook that and you just assume he's not, I don't see him as a fetishizing type. For some reason, you go through his Facebook and you see that, he's dated different colors of women and whatever, it's not just they all happen to look like me, black women. Is it you then think I have to now start having conversations with this dude about race? Because isn't it the fact that he's open to dating you, wouldn't that be at least some sort of signal that he's all right?
Nah.
Because go on, Big Wahala, go on.
No, I was gonna say there's many people that are open into dating, or even sometimes you might say dating. It could just be sexing other races, but are fully racist. I mean, you have to never forget that the slave masters used to have sex with their slaves. You know what I mean? You could be attracted to something that you hate. People are attracted to people that they hate. Even in dating, it could be an I just want to have a new experience, and maybe it's something about you that triggered me. Maybe we like the same comic books, but it doesn't mean that I like other blacks. I just like you. You have to remember, some people like a person, not the whole thing that comes behind them. So I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Ghanaian, so I understand.
You see what you have done. So I wouldn't necessarily say that just because he's dating a black woman that he's now okay or he's safe. He just decided he's gonna date a black woman this time, and because of his privilege as well, it can just do that, and it's not gonna really affect him personally. It will affect her more likely than it's gonna affect him. I would say he might go home, his parents might give him the turn up eye, like, we bring back this black woman and blah blah blah, but it's not necessarily gonna impact him maybe to the same level as it would their black woman, for me personally. So Nah, I'm not giving it that.
I'm not sure. That's a conversation to be had. I'm not sure who will impact more. But there's some people that just go into these kind of situations with a very, I don't know, very naive, shallow, without going deep into the waters of the culture or the person. So they may be a nice person who, and I'll say this in inverted commas, don't see color. I just see the person. I do hate that term, but some men, some women who go into these situations go in there with their eyes wide shut. And they don't really have the conversations that they need to have. And then when they're in those deep waters, all of a sudden it gets a bit funny or it gets a bit awkward, it gets to a situation where the conversations that they should have had at the beginning are quite difficult to have. And speaking about someone like Eve, if she had the conversations at the beginning and he sounded like a fascist racist, then that would have kind of given her a decision to make, and who knows what she would have done. Maybe she would have chose the money anyway, or maybe she actually loves the guy. Who knows?
Look at the who was it? The one. Remember the Destiny Child girl that was getting married to that guy. I forgot what happened.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens all the time. Look how long she was with him for. She was going to get married to him, and then something happened.
No idea.
And then,
what story is that, bruv?
So this was Michelle. It was Michelle, innit?
Yeah.
I forgot what happened though. We spoke about it on the podcast in the past.
What the really slim one? The gospel one.
The gospel one.
Yeah. I think I vaguely remember, man.
Yeah, so she was gonna marry a white man, and then I forgot what happened, but something happened, and it was about race, and then I think he was just very dismissive about it, and she was like, "What?" And he was just like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" And I think in the end, they broke up. In the end, put that way. In the end, they broke up, but they was ready to get married, but because they hadn't had these certain discussions, or felt that they didn't need these certain discussions, she never got to hear his point of view about certain things. Or you have to be careful as well with when you're dating people outside of your race, because things are not a problem until they come up, and then those situations hit you straight ahead, and then you have to maybe think on your feet, or you don't even think at all, and you just make something slip out, and that's your fault pattern gone, and then suddenly you're like, so what? You really think that it could be something as simple as let's talk about the riots now. So somebody's like, look at these rioting looters, blah blah blah. What if the black people wanted to have equality? Why were they going around stealing? And that obviously that could trigger a black person, be like, well, we're not going around. It's not just us going around stealing, is it? It's everyone. Yeah, but then as soon as you hear the but that's the end of that relationship. There, isn't it? You're gonna be like, well, so what? Yeah, but what? And then the conversation starts, and then you start learning all these other things or these other bits of history that you both had about different races and whatnot. It's interesting. The one thing I do find quite interesting though is whenever we talk about interracial relationships, we tend to talk about blacks and whites. Quick question, just because we've got there. Which interracial relationships if you was to say, I'm gonna make an interracial relationship, yeah, right? Which interracial relationships do you think would work the best?
The blacks and the Jews.
Well, blacks can be Jews, so
they've been through the same struggle.
but Jewish is a faith, bruv. It's not a race.
It's not a race. So,
God, this individual here. Anyhow, come on.
You will still call them Jew if you want to relate to them. So shut up.
It's for me, I'll look at maybe like I see a lot of blacks with Thailand type of girls, and I've
no, I'm thinking as well.
It's Taiwanese, not Thailand.
Thailand type of girls,
yeah, that kind of region, I've seen a lot of there's a few Nigels, that have got their Thailand women, I know a couple of people who are half Nigerian and half Thai. No,
a couple of everything.
Sorry, Philippines.
Yeah, Filipinos. Filipinos.
Yeah.
They call them the blacks of that region. That's what they call them, the blacks of that region.
Right. Yeah.
But and you're right. They're not like blacks too. Just be careful.
Well, I'm just saying, there's quite a few that I know. I know a couple individuals that are half black, half Filipino, and you look at Tiger Woods, and I've seen a few. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe that. Who knows?
All the Filipinos I know are really cool. All of them. Every Filipino I've met have been safe. Properly safe. So I can understand why they they like a lot of black culture as well in the Philippines. A lot.
One of the best looking women that I've ever seen has been from Thailand. And that was when I was young, mate. I used to work where did I work? It was Harvey Nichols back in the day, years ago. Jeez.
I didn't know you worked in Harvey Nicks.
Yeah, bruv. Worked in Harvey Nicks.
When you shop at Harvey Nicks?
One time. And yeah, we worked together. I was like, wow, this girl is beautiful. Just stunning. You know?
So you think maybe a lady from Thailand and what type of black person? Just a black person, any black person?
Eastern, yeah, black. I don't know. Any black person, man. Maybe Nigerian.
Stavros is not answering this question. It's a full nonsense. I'm not partaking in which two races would swell better together. No thanks. That's like one of them YouTube mixed race relationship kind of questions.
No, the reason I'm asking that because there's different cultures that things are quite similar. So the reason I'm asking,
then that's a different question. If you said which two cultures,
then fine.
Whatever about colors. Which two cultures might mesh if you're looking at different parts of the world?
Well, go on then. Run with cultures, bruv.
Because that's what I kind of meant. I wasn't just talking about.
I bet in season 1 you would have answered the question.
In season 1 you would have answered it with Vim.
No, it's because I would have made a joke about it. I wouldn't actually have an idea in my head, maybe even now. But yeah, let me think about this culture thing because off the top of my head I can't think of something because I'm trying to align which cultures match and unify. Well, then British and Americans, they have a similar culture. I would say mainland Europe, the stuff in the bit in the middle, they have similar type cultures. The ones that have a siesta and the breaks during the day, they have similar style cultures.
Hindus and a lot of Nigerian cultures are quite similar, you know, right down to the amount of gods they've got.
Okay,
you'd be surprised. Even the wedding thing. So let's talk about the wedding. So like, obviously, my best friend is Hindu, and he had his wedding. And when I was going through all the traditional stuff that they was doing for their wedding, it was almost the same thing as like the traditional stuff we were doing for our wedding, but it was just Hindu. So I was like, oh, okay. So they have like the thing before the wedding. They have like the knock-in. They got their own version of the knock-in, where the people come to their house and they come and do all this stuff, and they have different like they have all these different things that you have to eat and present and put on their heads and all this type of stuff. A bit almost like what we've got with our situations as well when we come to present certain things.
I think most cultures that aren't white actually do pre-wedding stuff like that. You know, I just think that it's white cultures don't do it, and everyone else does.
Potentially, yeah.
If you think about it, Far East, and then you got the South Asians, Africans all over Africa, and South America. It's all the same. It's just you're straight up and down white people don't do it.
Yeah, it's just the reason why I was asking the question is because whenever we talk about interracial dating, it's always you tend to just think of the whites and the blacks, not necessarily other races or different cultures or whatnot. That mix together. It's just interesting. I thought it was interesting.
White men and Thai women. It seems to be a good link.
Yeah, but that's because them man are a bit.
They're a bit what?
Them man, they're going over there
they
that.
Go there for young things, mate, and for other things.
Yeah, it's not a pleasurable situation as the reason why those men are with those people. It's not a good thing. So yeah, I'm not
for them, man.
Yeah, but it's not when you're picking up young girls and paying for them, is it? So no. It's not good. Not something where I would suggest that we say is actual full on legit relationship. If I'm going to be completely honest.
Okay. Wow. So, let me know. White men that go with Thai women, they went there and purchased them or grabbed them, and wow. Okay.
I'm saying a lot of the majority. You go to Thailand, you'll see it.
You haven't been. You've been, yeah.
I've been to Thailand. That's what I'm telling you. Them man there that you saw writing on the streets the other day are the same man there that's going there trying to purchase some women that are not necessarily of their own race.
I do know a couple of people that got out of Thai and whites, and both of them, I'm looking at them like you couldn't find like top rated Shirley from that the one that in the pub everyone is looking at. They couldn't grab them kind of chicks. So it's like, why is it? Because and the Thai women are from Thai. It's not like their family came over and they met. Nah, they went to Thai on holiday. And then all of a sudden, 2 twos is like, oh yes, in a couple of years she'll be over here and we're getting married. It's like,
It's-
okay.
There is the
Okay.
Mail Order Bride thing is not a joke. It's the truth. It happens. It happens quite a bit. So them man there, I'm not giving them respect of, they went to go and claim a woman. They went to go and do shenanigans with girls that are probably not the age that they should be doing. And if I'm gonna condemn R. Kelly, I'm condemning them man too. You get me?
All right. Let's get into these questions then. I've had a nice little conversation with you guys. You lot put all the questions in this week, specifically Webbs and Wolf. So I'm actually going to just allow you to pick the questions that you've put in there, because I actually haven't. If I had watched or read any of them, I would, but I haven't. So whichever one of you wants to jump in there with whichever one you think is most highest on your list, by all means do so.
I think I should kind of go first because I'm going to be the first one out.
That makes sense.
It was. I don't know if any of you men watched the actual video. Did you watch the video, Webbs, Wahala?
I don't know what you're talking about.
He didn't.
He's talking about the Mark Wahlberg one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started to watch some of it and I got about a minute and a half in and I got bored and I stopped watching.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of it either.
Bloody hell, man.
But I'd like to talk about it. I mean, we roughly know what the question is in relation to the video.
Ain't the same question you kind of started last week, but didn't get a chance to kind of get into?
Yeah, well, basically, our man, our family that came in last week, he spoke more on the corporate side of things, and he spoke eloquently about how he's trying to change things, and he's doing a fantastic job. But we didn't really answer the question. So this guy, he is a comedian. Damn, what's his name now? Let me jump in. His name is Trix. He is a Ghanaian American, and he does these these African type characters on Instagram, which are quite funny. They're a bit played out now, but in general he's quite funny. And he came on and he basically was speaking about Mark Wahlberg, who had some convictions, I believe, for hate crimes when he was 15, 16 and 17, I believe. And he, made some real errors in judgment, I would say. Basic racist comments and actions towards Black and, I believe, Asian people. So Mark Wahlberg, as like some of the other people have posted their Black Lives Matter posts on their social medias and, all this, that and the other regarding equality and what have you. So this guy was talking about the wrath that Mark Wahlberg has got. Fair enough. That was going to be inevitable. But based on the question that I asked last week, and I'm going to actually read it out again, and hopefully we can kind of get into it and chop it up a little bit more. Just because you did something wrong in the past, does that mean you can't advocate against it now? We know Mark Wahlberg has done something wrong in the past. It doesn't make you a hypocrite. You grew. Don't let people use your past to invalidate your current mindset. Growth is a concept. Embrace it. This guy, the comedian Trix, he basically said, don't we as Black people want to see growth? Isn't this whole movement about the white man changing the narrative, changing certain things in workplaces, in certain industries that we're at, in the mindsets that they have when they're behind closed doors, the way that they kind of see things and how they teach their children? If someone has changed the way that they are, isn't it now our responsibility to kind of meet them halfway, and to kind of embrace that change?
Let me touch on this a little bit, because it kind of goes into one of the other questions. Mark Wahlberg, if you look at his history, a lot of people would say that Mark Wahlberg appropriated Black culture to get to where he is now. From being Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, being a little rap or hip hop artist, struggling because he wasn't a very successful one to a degree where he's still selling platinum albums or whatnot. So if you look at his journey, it's been very questionable, from his films to his co-producing or executive producing of shows like Entourage and Ballers and whatnot. So a lot of people would say, you know, he's appropriated black culture. And going back into the history that Trix has just found about him committing these hate crimes towards people of color, him changing his stance now, coming out supporting, it's almost like it's a farce. It's not real. It's like he's just jumping on the bandwagon. And are white people doing that just to save face? Because behind closed doors, they're like, oh God, these black people getting on my nerves. But let me put on a brave face and change my stance just to be for the public eye and make them feel a little bit better. But behind closed doors, I hate them all. I hope they die.
Could be.
I am of the view that if you... Okay, let's look at Marky Mark, and then let's look at... Who's the one that was the one that got gunned by Eniola's people recently? The female footballer.
Eniola Aluko.
Yeah, who's the one that posted something recently?
Oh, a footballer who supported the manager that... Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
All
and
right,
she
so
came out and she apologized recently. I don't know why she didn't do it a couple of years ago, but hey.
Because she got rinsed. She got rinsed recently, that's why. So for those of you who don't know, Miss Wolf has explained Marky Mark's situation. This is, like we said, something that happened 20, 30 years ago. Those are the issues that he had in his past. So he's had 20 years of potential growth, all right? I'm not dealing with the appropriation stuff. I've never understood that. If somebody who happens to be from another culture attaches themselves to the style, the food, the dress, the music of another culture, and they have success in it, then that's... I never had a problem with that. So all this appropriation is not something where Stavros is jumping into the river having an issue with that. So I'm cancelling that to the side. So
before you continue, Stav, hang on. Would you say the same thing about performers that like the black and white minstrels?
No, minstrel is... I'm not counting minstrels. That's a racist business. That is not appropriation. That's racist. It's different if you have a white rapper that dresses stereotypically like a black rapper and raps. Like, let's say Eminem. If some people might say that's appropriation, or even just go back to Marky Mark. He dressed that way, he rapped that way, he spoke that way. He's doing appropriation. I don't care if people liked it, they liked it. If they didn't, they didn't. All I care about is, are you racist? Are you taking the mick out of people because of their culture? If you're just doing it because you enjoy doing it, then so be it. I'm not the type of person to police culture. I've never been like that. You can go through the history of the podcast. I've never been on this flex that because an Eritrean does something, a Nigerian can't do it. Because a Nigerian does something, an American can't do it. Because an American does something, a Japanese can't do it. It's fine to dip into cultures here and there. This is how things move, shake, and blend. It's all it comes down to is, are you taking the mick? And I'm not even one of those people that you have to respect it. I don't think you even have to respect it. You just don't have to be trying to take the mick out of it. That's all. So let's say, for instance, on a previous episode, we spoke about coral beads that the Igbos wear during weddings, and how all of a sudden it might become popularized in a Western style wedding. And then some people on the podcast, that episode, weren't happy with it. And it's like, it's appropriation. You know, these mean something to us. But end of the day, it's a bead. And if it means something to you, that's what it means to you. Somebody else likes the look of it, that it's been put on their head in some sort of crown, or it's been put around the neck in a certain way, and they start using it for their own weddings, but it doesn't have that resonance that it has with them. It's just an aesthetic thing. Then so be it, because it's just a bead. It means something to you, it doesn't mean something to them. As long as they're not trying to take the mick, then that's it. If it becomes popular now that they've done it, it's unfortunate, but so be it. I don't think you can police culture, and you can't police these kind of things. So that's me. So I'm pushing that to the side. The thing with the female footballers, I can't remember any of their names, so anyone jump in if you remember the names. There was the woman Eniola, who played for England, who is a black woman, who accused the manager of England at the time of doing something racist. I can't remember specifically what it was. In solidarity with the manager, the white manager, I believe she's mixed race players, during the next game, she scored, and she ran to that manager like she was Kunisha. She ran there, asked all the other players to go to the manager, hugged him in solidarity with the manager, instead of what every other sensible black person thought is you stand up for the black. Can you imagine a woman as well? You stand up for your black woman at least, even if you didn't want to say anything. You could have just been neutral. You could have scored your goal and celebrated with your fans, with your players or your fans. No, you decided that you wanted to go to the manager and celebrate with him to show I'm backing up my manager, even though he's been accused of racial business from my teammate, my actual teammate. That was 3 years ago. Obviously, with the stuff that's going on now with Black Lives Matter, there's this thing going around where men and women are posting a picture of themselves saying, I'm a black woman or I'm a black man. And then there's this thing that they write afterwards. Even my missus did it. And I think you tag a few people. So I think this woman that did the run into the manager, she's done her own one. And it starts off, I am a black woman. And then she's written blah, blah, blah. And she got rinsed for it because it's like, who are you to open your mouth and talk about solidarity between blacks and about how we should be treated as black people when you did what you did 3 years ago? It's that, you know what? If somebody did that, is that you? Mr. Wolf, do you know about that thing?
Yeah, I know about this story fully. I know all
no.
about this.
That's no. The term, is this you or that's you? Do you know what I'm on about when I say that?
No. Oh yeah. About I'm a black man.
No. I'll explain it quickly. Recently on social media, people have been dragged for X, Y, Z. A lot of the stuff to do with racial business.
Oh yes. I know.
When it's happening now, people are finding old tweets or old videos or old this and old that. They write, "Is that you?" or "Is that?" or "That's you." Just those two words. That's you. So somebody would do. So this is what happened with this chick. She wrote that post, and somebody quote tweeted it and put the video. Is that you?
Is this you?
This you. All right, this you. Sorry. And then the rinsing starts. For me, I think it's hilarious. Whenever I see it, it's very enjoyable because people are getting rinsed left, right, and center, and it's like those two words now are going to be part of the lexicon in Black Twitter for going forward. And if you see that, if you see a tweet and it's directed at you, and you see those two words, this you or that you or whatever it is, be afraid. Be very afraid, man, because somebody's found out something about you. Anyways, so they did that with her. She got rinsed. Now the difference between this one and that one, Marky Mark and this woman, who I've forgotten her name, is I can actually look at Marky Mark and say, you did something 20 years ago. You've had time to grow and change potentially. And he even went to jail, I think, for what he did back in the day, or he had a stint. Maybe you could have changed. I'm not saying he has, but I can allow you 20 years ago, you could have changed in 20 years. In answering your question, Miss Wolf, yes. This woman, this woman that went at Eni, the only reason you are coming out is because of the backlash. The only reason you apologize to Eni, like you said, why is she doing it now? Maybe they know this is what happened because she got rinsed on social media for the past 3 days, and she had to say,
her name is Nikita Parris.
Nikita Parris. Nikita Parris got rinsed on social media, and that is the only reason why she has apologized to Eni. She had 3 years to do it, and she didn't. So I'm not backing her for change right now because she's only changed because she's been pushed into a corner. Marky Mark has said what he said. He doesn't have to apologize. I don't think he even did, but he's done his stuff way back in the past. So the quick answer to your question is, yes, I believe people can change. They can change. And I am open to allowing people to change and to hearing them out. If you just counsel everybody and you have this big red line across their name forever and ever, amen, then things will not change, because I know that if I have done something wrong to somebody in the past, and then somebody points out my mistake, or I understand I've done something wrong, and I apologize, I give that person time to breathe and whatever, and I come back and they give me a chance they forgive me, then we can move forward and we can grow. If they say, oh no, my relationship with you is done, then I don't feel I need to do anything with that person anymore. It's like, okay, I've apologized, and by all rights and means, it's your choice to accept or deny that apology. But from when you've denied that apology, don't expect nothing from me anymore, because I said sorry like with my heart. If you don't accept it, I don't have to do anything for you anymore. So that's me.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's hard to tell because we don't know these people individually, that we don't know what's in their heart. And I think it's down to, she could be genuinely sorry that this incident may have struck the the light bulb, in her head and thought, oh my God, like, look at this. And then she may have reevaluated it. But I find it very, very hard to kind of stand by her side and fight her case. She did write a long letter, I'm just looking at it now. I've read little bits and pieces. But at the time that the man was found guilty was your time to come out. And the ego set in and you just dug your heels in and you remained silent. You know what I mean? So,
sorry for cutting you off, Mr. Wolf, because you spoke about something that maybe the people don't know. For a separate racist allegation, the FA fired this manager, this women's manager, football manager, for a separate racist allegation that he was confirmed that he did something racist. And this is when Mr. Wolf is saying this happened maybe a year or so after the original thing. You could have then come out and said, I apologize for making a mistake before. I apologize for backing him up. Clearly he was racist. I made a mistake. No. Like you said, she kept silent. It's only when she got rinsed now that she opened her mouth.
Big Wala, what you say, man?
I gotta say what I think. And I think that I haven't got time to be worrying about the changing and this of these white people, if I'm gonna be honest. And the reason why I'm saying that is because as black people, we're just too forgiving, bruv. We're just too forgiving. In every situation, we're looking for a reason to forgive. Oh, this person has come and said he's sorry, forgive them. Oh, this person has come and do this, forgive them. They threw that Bible at us well about forgiveness, so we can learn for all the atrocities that people have done to us in the past. We must turn the other cheek and forgive them. Bruv, I haven't got time for all of this forgiving people for things that they've done in the past. You did it. You're dealing with it now. I might not have to come out of my way to come and attack you for it, but I don't have to then also be worrying about my brain to think about forgiving you either. Simple and plain. I'm sick of it, bruv. We're the only race that don't get forgiven. No one forgives us. No one forgives us. But we're always out there forgiving other people.
Us for?
What do you mean? No, anything. There's things that exactly. We don't even do things that they don't forgive us. There's nothing we do. Exactly. So why am I now running around trying to forgive these people for all of this stuff? To be honest, I don't know if you're even making this a race thing. Because if you're not making it a race thing, then fair enough. We could talk about it in general. But you're bringing up Mark Wahlberg and his racial things, and in the past you talk about other racial things. So for me, I haven't got time for white forgiveness at this present moment in time. It's not in me to be doing white forgiveness. If he was doing racial attacks when he was of a certain age, and as far as I can say, he was old enough to know better, and that's what he was doing. Now that you want to change because something's changed you, that's all well and good for you, but I don't then have to be running around trying to chase you to be saying, oh, it's all right, it's cool. Nah, fuck you. That's your business. In general, people can obviously change. I'm not going to say that people can't change. Of course they can. We change every day. Things affect us in different ways. We have experiences every day that changes us. Some for the better, some for the worst. We could talk about relationships and how people change after every relationship. Things that you might have not done in one relationship, and since you've gone past the next one, you might decide you want to change the way that you do your approach to that relationship because of the way that things have happened in the past. So things can change you, and I'm not against people changing and acknowledging that people have changed. I'm not against it at all. It's just that with this particular topic, I just think that as black people, we're way too forgiving. We're very quick to forgive all the time. And forget all the time. So, nah.
I hear you.
Stavros,
Go on.
You touched, sorry, Mr. Wolf. Stavros, you touched on something when you was having your soapbox moment about coral beads and white people using it in their weddings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the history of the coral beads?
No.
All right. So the history of the coral beads is a jewelry found in ancient Egypt. And a lot of the Egyptians and pharaohs, when they were buried with these beads because they felt it had mystic properties and it would protect them as they go over to the other side. Now, obviously, it changed over the years when it went to Mediterranean countries and so on and so forth. But in Nigerian culture and like Igbo culture as well, the coral beads is a sign of royalty and wealth and chiefism. So if you're a chief, you would have it. Now, I don't know, but I don't think white people will look at it and get to know the history of these beads before they start using it in their wedding. I think they're just using it for fashion. And that I would have a problem with. If you don't know the history of what you're doing and what you're using, then you're kind of being disrespectful to it.
I disagree with that completely, because we do things all day, every day that we don't know what we're doing it for, why we're doing it, and we just do it because it's just there in front of us.
Do you have a problem with people wearing crucifixes?
Me.
Yes.
To a degree, if you don't know the history or what's behind the crucifix, then yeah, because we all know it was used as a weapon, so to speak, or to kill someone, or as an object of shame.
So you look at people with crucifixes and you judge them for having the crucifix the same way you would judge somebody for having the coral beads.
It's not a question of judgment. It's a question of whether you understand the history of what you're wearing and what you're doing.
Okay. All right. So if somebody did understand the history, because I think the question that we had last time was that actually was brought up, and we said if they did understand the history, they understand that they're meant to be chiefs and blah blah blah, all of that stuff that comes alongside it, but they still wanted to take it and wear it for fashion. Are you gonna have a problem with that, or you could say, well, at least they understand and we have no problem with that?
Well, if they have an understanding and they say, I understand what the history of it is, and I agree with it, or I like it, or I don't like it, or whatnot, but I'm going to take it and use it as that, then on that respect, you can judge how you're going to feel about that. If you're just wearing it for the sake of wearing it and you don't know nothing about it, I feel it's a bit disrespectful not to at least know the history of what you're doing. And a lot of us have an issue with finding out the history of certain things. Like Stav said, we'll go and do something without knowing anything about it. But is that shame on us, more fall on us, or what?
No. I don't have time to study everything I do and why I'm doing everything. No. If I go to another country and I see there's a bag I like in the shop and I pick up the bag and it's nothing like I've never seen it before, and I pick it up and then I start carrying it around, and then when I bring it back to this country, someone says, "Oh, in my culture that means XYZ." I don't feel bad. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't research it before I bought it. I saw the bag. I like the bag. I'm using the bag." End of. It's like, it's now it's nice that I know, but I don't feel a fool for not researching it, because then I'd have to research everything. There's everything. Why is there a mirror? Why are blinds like this? I'm just looking at the stuff in my room. There's a reason behind everything. I'm not about life studying the root of everything. Nah, it's just not realistic, really. So what it comes down to is what's important to you and what's not important to you. And if this all of a sudden is important to your culture, then it means something to you. But it's not important to them. And I'm not pushing my importance onto everybody else.
My issue with the cultural appropriation thing is when people are trying to almost claim to say that they are the ones that started it. That's when I got a problem with it. When you've basically taken something from somebody else, pretending like it's yours, made it seem like you are the person that started off this particular thing, and now sending it to the masses to say that you are the one that started it. Everything else,
yeah, but that's stealing and lying.
Yeah, well, that's the cultural appropriation that people have problem with, isn't it? You're taking our cultures and you're pretending like it's yours almost, or you're allowing people to believe it's yours without fully correcting them to say, well, no, actually it's not. I got it from so and so. That is the ones I have a problem with. But everything else in that capacity.
Who should we be bigging up for doing podcasting?
I don't know. I'm not going around saying that I'm the first person ever to do a podcast. This is our thing. We're the only ones that's done it. I don't do that. And no one's going around saying that we are the only ones that's ever done a podcast either. So I don't know. It's not for me to be going around to tell people that. Exactly. I don't know who did the first podcast.
And we do give shout outs to other podcasters, whether they were before us or after us. But whoever created the podcast, we don't know. We haven't gone to study that. And they say knowledge is power. So most of what is going on in the world today is because of, one, either cultural appropriation, two, people stealing things from other people and claiming it as their own, and three, people not having enough knowledge to understand what's going on. So when they say knowledge is power, for those of us that don't go and do research, we're lacking certain knowledge.
But everyone's lacking knowledge in something. Like I say, somebody's an expert in something, in everything. It's just, what relevance does it have to you? I'll go to a construction site and somebody's gym that everybody thinks is the dummy is spinning me with all the stuff he knows about the stuff on construction site. You take him out of that environment and he doesn't know anything. But that's his world, and that's what's important to him.
I'm just wondering it because I don't want Mr. Wolf to feel like we've just gone from his topic again to another topic, because he's made it. he's brought it up twice now in 2 weeks, and we've gone somewhere else again. Like, I don't know.
Well, I answered the question. You forgive, you can move on. It's a personal choice. But I don't like the idea of just blanket, no, people cannot move on. No, people cannot change. No, people... there's pictures of protesters with police, and police are kneeling. So, Mr. Wolf, you can tell me if I've gone off and I've veered off too far.
No,
but there are people that are happy to accommodate those police that are going to kneel with them. And there are people, so you see the pictures and there are people that, why are you mixing with the police? Why are you allowing them into your circle? Why are you co-signing these people? All of them are bad, or don't allow them into your thing. I am one of those people. I'm very torn when I see that, because it's like, because I'm of the disposition that you should kind of like allow people, especially if it's individuals within a unit, to overcome and move forward, or to apologize, or to try and become one of you, because that is my nature. It's hard for me to say just shun them and kick them out. But then there's another part of me that says, I understand why you would blanket all police and say, I don't want you to be part of, I don't want you to kneel with me. Keep to your side, innit?
My problem with a lot of the things that's going on with this change, because I'm going to carry on with the same vein like Mr. Wolf was saying, but I'm going to bring it to the thing that we've been chatting about for the past couple of weeks, is people have known that this thing has been going on for a long period of time, and they haven't made any decision to speak up about it. They haven't made any decision to get involved in it. They haven't made any decisions to make changes in their lives that will impact the black people around them, which they can particularly impact, that they know are having problems with equality. They're not doing that until it now benefits them to do it. So I don't care whether or not you're a policeman now that's been on your knees, or you're on your knees now. If I look into your background and your record, and I haven't seen you having any discussions with your fellow police officers that you have seen doing black things to black people, or any of those police officers in the Minneapolis police that may have known that this has been happening in the police department, or the LA police that know that this has been happening in the police department, or the New York police that are known as to be happening in the police department. I can keep naming the states in America, or the UK, London, Manchester, all of these places. If you in the past have not opened your mouth to say, you know what, this is bad, and we haven't really heard anything from you in the past, I don't really want to hear about you wanting to chat about it now, or kneeling on your ashy knee now. No, I don't want to hear about it, because you didn't care then, because it didn't benefit you. Now it benefits you to look good. You care now, and that's why I have got no time for this, because I don't believe it's a change. I believe it's you trying to now look better. Unfortunately, that is what it looks like. The same way like that girl that you just said now made that whole apology speech because it made her look bad. That's exactly how they'll say where I feel about the policeman that's putting his knee down now. That was probably, especially in America, was probably cussing down what's his face for doing it all these years. Colin Kaepernick for doing all these years, saying that he's a this, that, and a traitor. Now suddenly you want to get on your knees because you saw a video. Fuck you, man. I ain't got time for it.
I can see another side of it. Let me show you the other side of this coin. Hopefully, we've all watched the Dave Chappelle this footage
846.
846 that he put up on YouTube or Netflix, whether it's a joint collaboration thing, where he discussed the George Floyd death. And there's a couple of segments in there where he talks about police that tried to stand up during these things and got shut down, got exited from the police. I was seen some other examples.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I was just about to come with that type of analogy, but not even relating to Dave Chappelle. But yeah, I hear you. Carry on, bruv.
So I've done, a little bit of looking up, and I've seen there have been multiple police people that have stood up, tried to fight, whether it's, it doesn't even have to be a racist thing. It could be there was a bad cop and they stood up and they got kicked off the force. There was a bad cop, they got stood up, they got moved to another department, whether it's the bad cop or the person that stood up. The police union, so I'm sticking with America for now. Maybe we can talk about Britain another time or whatever. But the police union in America is very, very, very strong. And it is just the ultimate gang. They do not allow people to infiltrate and to bring them down. They are very strong. One of the things that I heard recently where somebody said, the police, do you remember the time when the mayor of New York, I think de Blasio, he's a white man, he has a black wife. His son was becoming of age, like a teenager, and he's letting on publicly that he spoke to his son, this is the mayor of New York, that you need to be wary when you get stopped by police or whatnot, because, anything can happen. The police were so upset with him that when he went to do a talk at one of a police officer's death, and obviously, there's tons of police people there, they all turned their back on the policeman. On the mayor, because they were not happy with the remarks that he made, saying to his son, you need to, there's the conversation that every black man has with his son when he comes of age, to talk about how he has to deal with the police. Now, what this mayor then did was back down on what he said, and he had to take it back basically, and said that, he apologized to the police, even though everybody in their right mind knows that he didn't do anything wrong. He has a mixed race child, and he knows that he wants his child to survive. So there's one thing.
I wonder how his wife felt when this man did that. I wonder how his wife felt.
Because he's a man. I think if you live in that kind of world, you understand that. Because I think sometimes people have all this ideology. It's a job. You understand that there are things that you have to compromise sometimes for your job. And I don't believe it. I really don't believe it when people say they would do this and that. It's like they're just going to throw away everything because of their morals. They don't. So I hate when people say stuff like that. In this case, I think his wife.
I get what you're saying, maybe in the mayor's case. But if you're a police department and you're seeing people actually killing people, like killing them, knowing that they, or as we had, I went back to one of the old podcasts to say that same way, and we were talking about how there was one policeman that was putting crack in an innocent man's wallet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, if you do have any form of moral compass, you do not want to work for these people. I cannot work with somebody that is actively killing people for no reason. Like, how can you sleep at night?
Yeah, but not everybody is like you.
But we've all got jobs that I work in a place where people can say that they rob the country blind, and if I was seeing them rob the country blind, then maybe I might not be able to sleep at night. Obviously, it's something that I'm not seeing, right? But if I saw one of them actually go to somebody, go in their pocket, take all their money from them, punch them in the face, and put them on the floor, and then walk away, I might have to say to myself, I can't work here.
Wahala, you work in an industry that crippled poor people in this country. The 2008, it was your industry that crippled this country and most of the Western world.
I didn't work in that industry. I didn't work there in 2008.
But okay, you work there now, and nothing's changed. And if you know the parts of things are going back to the way they were before. Nothing has changed. It's a corrupt industry. You are not going to change that. You know this for one, or maybe you feel you can change it. But what it is that I'm here to do my particular job, which I go out my way to not be corrupt. I don't think the people working left and right to me are corrupt, and that's it. I come here, I eat my cheese sandwich, I do my work, I go home. I'm not looking at the bigger umbrella of it. And you might see it as a police. Go on.
I get that, and I'm saying that's what I'm actually saying. So if the man was going to work every day and he didn't see anything, it's different. But when you're going there and you're seeing people, as I said, putting crack into people's wallets, or you're seeing people getting shot, or you're seeing all of these things, and then you're still going to work the next day like, well, you know what, it's my job, I can't really. Nah, sorry, that is for me is a bit much.
Yeah, but you got to think about the whole politics behind politics, bruv. You understand? Some things you got to turn a blind eye to, and other things you can actually enforce change. So no, but listen, there's some things that a politician can change, and there's some things that they cannot. So the question he may ask himself, we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, is that he is asking himself, when I become mayor, what can I do and what can I do?
I'm not talking about the mayor now. I'm talking about I'm talking about police officers.
Okay, so you're not talking about the mayor being in a position where he's going to work and he's looking at his job. And okay, fair enough.
No. I'm talking about. When I mentioned the mayor, I was just like, your black wife is. You're looking in her eyes saying, "Well, I got to basically lie and pretend like these lot don't do nothing to you."
Yeah, but let me use that as an example then. Let me use that as an example, because he is the mayor of New York. He knows that his police officers are doing heinous crimes and killing people. You're talking about murder. You understand? So he is actually thinking about what he can change and what he can't change, and he's making a decision to enforce changes that maybe we don't see or maybe don't make the headlines. And I wouldn't even say he's turning a blind eye, but he's trying. I think this mayor is actually trying to do his best. When you look at him compared to Mayor Giuliani, I know that the people on the streets, I know who they prefer. And they
well, the current mayor is different than the one I'm talking about, by the way. But I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Okay. You know the thing that I don't get about this? Sorry, Mr. Wolf, I know you haven't finished, but I just quickly wanted to jump in before I forget. So this Mayor Blasio, he said what he said, and I can't fathom why he would take his statement back because he was worried about his son getting killed or the effects it will have on his son. He spoke out because he cares about his son and he cares about the future of his son. Now, the mayor oversees the chief of police who oversees the police force and so on and so forth. So the mayor has the power to change things to a degree. If the police are saying turning their backs on the mayor, that means the police have a stronger hold on the mayor than he has on the police. That doesn't make sense.
It does. Well, this is the point I was trying to finish off, and I'll try and make it very quick so Mr. Wolf can say what he's saying. The police then said that they are going to. Police have done it in past in New York where they've said they're not going to work. They're not going to do anything then. If you don't back us up in X, Y, Z, we're just not going to work. We're going on strike. Now, they have that power to do that. The police just strong arm their way through society, which is why people are talking about defunding. Maybe we'll get to that point later, I don't know, but let's stick to this topic here. So it gets to the point, if you're the mayor of the country and or of the city, and you know your city is full of crime, and then the police are saying, well, we're just not going to do anything then. We're going to go to work and we're going to sit and eat donuts and we're going to just let the crime continue if you don't apologize for saying this or that. That's a true power that they do have. But because then what can you do? You can't fight everyone.
But the crazy thing about that, though, there's been instances, I don't have this the full story on it, but there's been instances where police have gone on strike and crime has gone down.
That is true.
And it's only due to the fear that police bring that causes situations to escalate, which will cause crime and which will cause destruction and so on and so forth. So what essentially, if there's no police, then there's no crime. So those donut eating dickheads can piss off.
This is the case. There are examples in America where police have been disbanded or cut down, or their roles have been changed. There's even been a department where they were all fired and rehired and retrained under a different capacity, and crime rate fell. A lot of these cases, they fell. But if you're the mayor of a city, the biggest city in the world, are you willing to take that risk to just do that then? Because at the end of the day, it's not like a decision you could just make. You can't just snap your fingers and do it. Yeah, there is a process.
If it's something that saves lives, especially black lives, why not?
Because you don't know for sure.
Yeah, but you have.
It's a risk you're taking, and if you're wrong, if you end up being wrong, then whoa.
Well, if you end up being wrong, then you're wrong. But if you end up being right, then you're right. But if you don't do nothing, and God forbid your child dies at the hand of police, then what are you going to say? Oh, I wish I'd made that choice and done the right thing.
Well, talking to your child about the police is going to be a standard thing regardless. If you're wrong in this situation, if you try and change the police force, cut them down, get rid of them, do whatever it is, and you're wrong, and crime rates raise, and then everybody's on your back, not only have you made a mistake, not only have you caused the death or the destruction in your city, but then that's your job finished as well. That's your career done. If like forever and ever, like it's not that, you know, these people jump from one job to another. That's your career done. So it's not as flippant as, yes, I can just make the decision. I think it's for the best, and that's the end of it. There are big repercussions. There are big things to think of when these things happening, which goes back to my point about what Wahala was saying. Now is the time people feel safe to make this change because there is a change going on in the country. If I was the type of person to say something before, but I felt afraid, or I knew that because of the structural discrepancies within my company or within my government board or within the city, nothing's going to change. I'm smart enough to understand that. I know that now is actually the time to strike while the iron is hot, because change could happen now, which is why I'm going to kneel down now, because my colleagues are not going to beat me up or get rid of me when I go back to the locker room, which is why I'm going to speak up now as a politician, because other people that, you know, would have looked down on me before, I said, stop saying that, it's not going to happen. All of a sudden now they're going to join in. There's power in numbers. There's power in this movement. This is why people are speaking up now. I get it. I understand.
Okay, I'm happy for your optimism. I don't have the same.
I'm not saying things are going to happen. I'm saying, but people can talk about it now.
I'm talking about you thinking that these people are doing it for that purpose. Because I just don't.
Some people are. Some people. Nobody's doing it.
It'll be, I believe, the minority.
Yeah, I didn't say that it's the minority. I don't know who. All I'm saying is that it can happen. I'm not saying that it can't happen. Because some people are saying it can't happen.
I'm just saying I don't have the time to be figuring out which one of the ones is the ones that are cool and which ones are not. I don't have the time for that.
That's fair enough. Wolf, have you gone yet?
He's gone, bro.
All right. Okay. Webbs, you want to talk about your team? Oh, I've just seen his message. All right, okay. It's just me and you right now.
Oh, okay. What happened?
He's gone toilet. Right, let me timestamp this. 117. Okay, Mr. Wolf has logged off, and Simple Simon has arrived. What up?
Yo, what's happening, people? I'm there.
Are you still gonna do your thing, or because you're jumping in halfway, you're now doing it?
Nah, if I'm jumping in halfway, I'm gonna have to let it ride. I'm sorry for the people out there, but I couldn't make it the start this week still, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, let's just let it ride, man.
It's all good. Hopscotch business in the house.
You know, like that.
Anyways, Wahala, you wanted to send the conversation in a different direction, so go through Squire.
Yeah, so what I was saying today is I don't know about you, man, but I know that a lot of the world is not optimistic about the rest of this year, and people are thinking that the rest of this year is going to be a bit of a whitewash, the same way or the beginning of is it whitewash or washout? Which one's the correct term?
Washout.
Washout. Okay, so they've said that the year's a bit of a washout and it's going to be done, basically. The year's finished, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know why, but I got a feeling that this summer's going to be a popping summer, you know? And I don't know. I think part of the reason being is because obviously people have been locked up for so long and finally they've been allowed out. I think that's going to now expand onto the summer, and I think people are going to find new and exciting ways to spend their summer. Like I've been seeing a lot of things during this quarantine period that's been quite joyous to see. So I've been seeing a lot of families riding bikes together that I never really used to see before that. I've seen a lot of families walking around together, having chats and whatever and stuff like that, because of obviously you can only have a certain amount of walks in the UK. I don't know about in other countries, but in the UK they say you can walk and that's basically all you can do outside. You can't really do much else in the past anyway. It's starting to change a bit more. And I've seen obviously now people are appreciating the outside world a little bit more than they probably did in the past because they've not been allowed to have the outside for a while. And obviously because there's no restaurants, bars and whatever's open, they've got to find other ways of spending their time together. And I don't know, I just got a feeling that the summer's going to be a lot better than people expected. I think there's going to be a lot of house parties, a lot of barbecues, a lot of people going to go and meet friends that maybe they haven't seen for a while. And I got a feeling it's going to bring a lot of people closer together than it probably did if nothing had happened. So I don't know about you guys. I don't know how you feel about your summers or what you feel is going to happen in the summer, but I just thought I'd ask you, man.
Yeah, it's weird because I kind of like feel like I've been living in a limbo in a strange way, because obviously we've had the self-isolation thing that's gone on. Everyone's experiencing it in some form or whatever. And I've been quite strict with it. So I've been staying in the house. I think since March, I probably left the house, on 9 different occasions, literally. So for me, it's kind of like my mentality has even been geared towards that kind of old staying in your house kind of mentality. So when I've gone out, I went out yesterday. My God, outside looked like normal. I felt like I was living in a parallel reality or something where, what's his name? Andres Frisk, where he had the youths in the basement for however long and they'd never seen outside before. I felt like that. So for me, my optimism is a bit weird because after coming out and seeing that, I'm thinking, yeah, for real, this might be a popping summer. But I don't know, like, cause we're not officially back to work yet. If the summer pops differently and people are outside, I don't know, it could be a good one because the responsibility is slightly different. You don't have that, I got to wake up to go work tomorrow. No, not everyone has that, got to wake up to go work tomorrow feeling. So yeah, you're right, it could pop. And everyone's really, really grateful now for freedoms. So definitely could really pop.
I was out yesterday with a certain sticky black. It was interesting. I don't think you should be outside, but whatever.
Oh, you man was wrong yesterday, yeah?
Well, you saw the video I took of London Fields. That was packed.
Yeah, that Fields is mad.
Absolutely packed. Yeah, Webbs, do you want to talk about what we were doing yesterday?
Yeah, so yesterday, a friend of the podcast, friend of the group, Emerze Corbyn, put together a photo shoot in homage to Black Panthers. So we congregated in London Fields to do this photo shoot around various areas of London Fields. And yeah, it was full of whites, fully packed. A small amount of police presence.
Yeah, it was all whites. Yeah, the park was packed, but it was all whites.
The park was packed. And a funny thing, there was a lot of interracial couples as well, but I'll touch on that later. So yeah, we were there taking photo shoots. We had a whole lot of interest in a lot of passers-by of the white variety, looking at us, asking us what we're doing, taking pictures of our peaceful protest / photo shoot. Stav turned up with the fam, which was really good. It was nice. And yeah, we just had a decent day. We went around the area and we ended up on the steps of a certain town hall. And yeah, just carried on from there. But people were out.
So you man are just not acknowledging the lockdown anymore. You lot are just done with that, yeah?
Nobody's.
You're allowed to go outside, you know.
Yeah, but I'm just asking you lot in particular. You're outside now, yeah? With the family, everything. You're just outside.
You talk simple first.
No, for me, I'm not outside at all. Like I said, I've only left my house on 9 different occasions. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating or being modest or playing it down. It's literally 9 different occasions over the last 3 months. So I'm
not even going to lie. I'm at Webb's. No,
oh, okay, cool.
I'm sorry. Because I know, like you said, I know you ain't been going out. And even when we wanted to meet in person, you're probably not on it. So I know that Webb's, or let me not say I know, but I'm assuming Webb's is not of the same ilk as you. Webb's?
I've been out. I'm not going to lie. Over the last month and a half, maybe 2 months, I've been out. And if it's not just going out for shopping, I've been to the park a few times just to be out and chill and relax and meet up with a few friends. Nobody's really adhering to the social distancing, especially in the parks. I mean, there might be clumps of people spread out, but those clumps of people are still not social distancing. Do you know what I mean? For me, I'd be sitting on the bench watching the people go by. Like I said, unless I'm going out for shopping, apart from that, I've been out. So yeah. And for me, I know there's a percentage of people that are really conscious about catching anything or being ill and so on and so forth. And there's a percentage of people that don't care. And there's a percentage of people that are being very standoffish. So everybody's going to have their look and their take on it. I mean, I remember one time I went out, I think I went to the post office and I hollered at Simple. I said, you were about, but he wasn't about. I was just going to say, what's up, say hello to him or whatnot, because I hadn't seen his face in a minute. So for me, I think one, because I live alone, I actively want to be out and have some human interaction.
Oh, I live alone.
Only because of my mental state. And it's look, if you're locked up for too long in solitary confinement, you can go crazy. It's a no.
You deserve prison anyway, so this is good for you.
Wow, bruv, really?
They won't let me out.
Don't leave me.
People don't talk about mental health, man. This is a real thing. You can go crazy locked up in isolation.
Of course you can.
For me, like I've said before, for what I do in life, I spend most of my time indoors. I'm reading a book or reading a script or doing whatever. So if there's no jobs coming in, when I need to go out or when I want to go out, I'll go out. So the involuntary isolation, I'm not happy about that. So I'll be a rule breaker in that respect.
Okay. So Wahala, how are you feeling with this lockdown stuff? Is it over for you, or are you still on point?
I'm half and half in it. So I go to work in it. So there's not really a lockdown for me. I go out often. I go shopping quite a bit. I only go to I don't go to the park. I don't go to visit people apart from my parents to deliver shopping. So the only place I actually go to is the shops. That's the only place I actually go to. And work, sorry. I don't go to anywhere else. So I'm half lockdown, half not. So as I said, I only go to the places where we're supposed to be going, not the places where people are just linking up with their brethren. Like, I ain't seen none of you guys for a while. I've seen Steph, but the rest of you I haven't seen for how long. So
yeah, this is what I was saying. Because for me, when I went there yesterday, I knew M was going to be there. Obviously, I knew Webbs was going to be there. But then I saw a couple of other people there as well. Friends of the podcast as well, actually. So, and that was nice to see them and, introduce them to my wife and my daughter. And I met some new people. And when we got home, I was like, I didn't realize it's been months since I've seen Webbs. Months. When we used to see each other weekly, or at least every couple of weeks, because man would never pop in. But it's like, it's a mazza. Outside of my mum and dad and just my immediate siblings, I haven't seen nobody. apart from work colleagues, because I've been going to work too. And so to answer your question, Wahala, I am of the ilk of, or I'm of the thought, or of the train of being of, it's almost like F it. I feel like I might have had it before anyways already. I might have had the koro. I'm more worried about my parents than me. We'll call it reckless or not reckless. I'm going by the statistics. I'm not that worried about my child because children, especially her age, are just not getting it. So I'm not too worried about her. So like I said, I'm off the next couple of weeks and she's not going to nursery. So I think we're going to be outside. I don't know what we're going to be doing, but if the weather's going to be all right, I'm going to be taking her stuff because haven't been able to interact with her as much as I would like because of work, and I've been tired. So I'm going to make a very big effort to make sure we do stuff. And we can't just walk around the same four. I live in a small flat. It's not even a big house or anything. So we have to figure out something else to do with her.
But
so I'm a 50-50, but because I can't go to cinema. I can't go to play club with her. I can't go to Adventure Playground. I can't even go to the normal playgrounds. The normal playgrounds have closed. They all closed off. They didn't care in London Fields though because they just jumped over the fence and they went. And the children were playing anyways. I love Hackney, so I can't take her to all these things anyways. So when I'm saying I'm outside, there's still only so far you can go outside. You can't go to a restaurant and then to the cinema and then to the pub, and you can't. They're closed. So there's only so much you can do. When you're outside, you're literally just being outside.
Stav, did you notice the pub on London Fields?
No, I didn't notice it. Well,
They was
what? The doors is open and they're selling drinks through the door. Is that what they're doing?
A lot of pubs are doing that. So
you're allowed to. They said that you can do it's takeaway. You're not
takeaway stuff.
Yeah, you can do takeaway beers at the pub. So yeah, they're all doing it now. There was an article that came out about it. As one of the new kind of guideline things. So yeah, that's allowed. Illegal.
take away alcohol. Cool.
It's off license, isn't it?
Yeah, true. They're talking about doing a takeaway alcohol pub crawl. So you go to one pub, get your pint, drink, and then go to another one. But obviously you're not allowed inside, you're just outside. So you're either drinking on the way to the other pub. Like all of our public order offences are going to the shits right now. Because you're not supposed to be able to you're not allowed to drink alcohol on the streets and that, innit?
They might as well just open it up, man. Everyone's doing what they did anyway. If 15 men are going to the pub and they're all standing next to each other, what is the difference between if they were outside or inside? There's no difference.
Of course there's a difference.
What? What's the difference?
Concentration
if
of
you're
air.
outside, bruv, do you not know how things spread?
You're all standing next to each other, talking face to face to each other. What is the difference if
give
you're
yourself
outside?
some space. Like even
They're
yesterday,
not giving
when I
themselves
talked
some
to people,
space, bruv. That's you.
There's only so much space in a closed in capture.
I'm talking about when these mans are outside these pub things. I'm just seeing them all together. They're not lining up, giving themselves 2 meter space. They're not.
But the difference is, and there is definitely a difference. When you're inside an enclosed area, the amount of volume of air that's in that enclosed area is almost set, and the recirculation of that air, i.e., the removal of old air and the inclusion of new air, isn't high enough. Whereas if you're outside, even if you're still speaking right in front of each other, because of the concentration of air in that space, it means basically it's a lot, I wouldn't say a lot more difficult, but it's more difficult for you to be susceptible to certain things. Because you're
inside, you've got minimal ventilation.
There you
Simple.
go. So, yeah.
Simple. We're how many weeks in now? Maybe about three months? 3 months in?
Yeah.
They still don't know what is the actual way you can contract it or not. They still don't know properly. They're still telling you different things every week. So as far as I said, they don't know. They just need to come out and say, I do not know how you catch this thing. Everyone just got to live your life, damn it.
No, but this is not
what I was going to say.
Yeah, but this is what I mentioned there isn't just about COVID. This is about just generally. This is
but the reason why it's closed down is COVID.
Yeah,
but the reason why it's closed down is COVID.
It's about science. So I'm talking directly about the scenario you gave where people being gathered either inside or outside, and you're saying that there's no difference. There is actually a difference, is my point.
Either way, all right, we're talking about COVID. I don't know whether or not it's going to make a major difference for the COVID because we don't know. But I don't know. I just, the more and more, I tried my best to be stringent with certain things, but I've just seen that no one else cares. So then why am I trying to be the one stringent? It doesn't make any sense at the moment. So I don't know. I just think that outside is going to be lit. like, I think the summer's gonna kick in proper, and I think people are gonna be having massive parties. I'm just waiting for people to get some sound systems and start blasting them in the parks, because at the moment people are being quite lenient with that. But watch when somebody
They
starts
were doing it yesterday.
You see it there?
They were doing it in London Fields. The man come out. He set up his whole set. He had a table with his all his promotional material on it. The draped over, and then massive speakers. Man's there talking on the mic. Yeah, blah blah blah. Make sure you tag me. Yada yada yada.
Telling you that the all dayers are coming back in full force, by force. We're not the police. This happen, bro. They're gonna be there on the park parties are coming back. You might not have
the bootleg stuff.
Yeah, you might not have your what's it called, wireless and all that thing. You're gonna have man them on the road with their speakers, blasting things from their cars, blasting things from bringing their things out, or their ghetto blasters or whatever it is. See how old school I am, talking about ghetto blasters and all that. And people are gonna be raving it up. I'm surprised that people are not raving up in the riots. Watch them play one funky house in the riots and see how people change up their situation real quick. I'm trying to tell you this now, yeah. People are looking for any out. And I think this summer is going to be live, but that's just me anyway. I'm hoping the crime stays low and the party stays high.
You know what? A bootleg party might be the thing.
They already had it in Housden.
Yeah, but the thing is, all of this is one thing, but on the backdrop of what's going on as well with the COVID thing, because I think America, some statistics have come out, and about 5 states in America have had drastic increases in both deaths and registered confirmed cases. I think one state is either Arkansas or Kansas. I can't remember which one of the two it was. One of them two has had like about 1,200 new cases in a 24-hour period. So
simple.
Yeah.
Everybody is Ivan Drago right about now.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. I'm telling you, that's what people feel now. They don't care anymore, bruv. They don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. Simple. I'm telling you, they don't care. You're not outside. That's why you say this, bruv. When you say that, I went outside of it, but I've been telling you, people are outside. I've been saying this.
And Simple's one of them insular people that is happy staying inside, anyways.
Yeah, that's true. I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy staying inside.
People like me, who I want to be outside, man. After I got home yesterday, I was like, I needed that. I needed that interaction with people. This hasn't happened in ages.
For me, I probably feel the same way as you, Stav, but it doesn't become apparent to me until I go out, if that makes sense. So each of the 9 times that I've been out, when I've come back, I'm like, yeah, the change of environment was good. And even though I'm cussing the people that I'm seeing different faces is also good. But it's not something that I long for. Once the front door closes, I don't long for it until I have to go out again.
Why going for the shopping?
My missus is doing the shopping because she needs to.
Wow.
Yeah, she needs a reason to leave the house. My missus not.
Yeah, she's an outsider.
She's an outsider. Yeah. She's not somebody that can stay in the yard, boy.
Let me tell you something now. Yeah, I've been seeing some families on bare of this survival of the fittest things. When I'm seeing big parents wearing masks and their children is there riding Drago with no mask, I'm thinking. So if you think you need to wear a mask, why don't you feel your child should wear a mask? Like why not? If you feel that you're that worried about the COVID, that you yourself is wearing mask, why is your child that's there in the trolley not wearing no mask, breathing up all the white man's air, touching
breathing all the white man's air? Yeah, I've seen the same thing. I actually agree, because when we got, it's usually the little one that's got the mask on, and we don't it's the other way around.
I've seen bare husbands saying, yeah, if you die, that's your business, wear their mask and their wife is not. I've seen so much different things. It's like family members are making decisions about who's wearing what in their families. It's proper on this one of those situations where you have to make the decision for yourself, but I just find it entertaining looking at the different families and seeing the dynamics of who's prepared to wear the mask and who's not.
I think you said it good earlier on where you said if he dies, he dies, isn't it?
If he dies, he dies. This might be the Drago episode. Listen, can I tell you the biggest troll of 2020?
Hit me.
Donald Trump is going to start his rallies again. Okay? No problem. He's ready. Now, you know his rallies were big. It was quite uncommon for people to do as much rallying as Donald Trump did in his time before the lockdown. And he didn't even have to do it after he won the presidency, but he continued because he loves it. He loves being around his people. It's like concerts for him. So he's going to start it again. And he's going, I know this Simple will understand this. To Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh my God.
On Juneteenth.
Yep.
This man is a bastard man.
He's a for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the power of what I just said, Juneteenth is the official day in American history when the last slave was freed. So it's called Juneteenth. So I think it's the 16th of June or something like that. Yeah,
19th.
Obviously it's in June. 19th of June. It's Juneteenth. So whenever it was X amount of years ago, that was when the last slave was officially freed in America. It's a celebration. Tulsa, Oklahoma, is where the biggest modern day atrocity. Somebody say the word for me, please.
Atrocity
and massacre.
Yes. So read about the Tulsa massacre, and I think a lot of you might know about it now. Anyways, I'm sure our listeners know about it. If you don't, then you can just Google it. And then on top of that, you can also watch Watchmen, the TV series, which starts off with an explanation of it. But basically, this is where black people had made their own community and they were thriving. All of that was there, and white people were not happy with it, so they went there and they massacred people. You know, scores of people were killed, businesses and whatnot were burnt down. We're talking about looting that's happening now. They looted the whole city because they were not happy with black people thriving and living peacefully and productively amongst themselves. So they burnt the city down. This is where the man has decided, and that is the day the man has decided he's going to start his new presidential 2020 nomination rally. That's the first one. He is trolling Black America. Like, I can't. When I saw that, I was like, wow. If a black man votes for Trump after this,
he gonna go there and spit bars, bruv.
That's what I was gonna say to you. Does it matter what happens when he actually goes there, or is it just the symbolism of choosing that date at this time that is the troll, or does it matter what he does? Like, can we officially call it trolling until he's actually...
It's trolling. It doesn't matter what he says there. Unless he goes there and he actually does something for black people specifically, then he'd knock me for 6, and I was actually 180 degrees wrong. If he goes there and says, I picked this day and this time because this is and because I want to come here and talk to the black people of the United States, and then he's spewed off all these wonderful things and the things that he's planning to do in 2020 if he regains his presidency, or even things he's going to do now, police reform and this and that and blah, 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 then I was wrong. But if he just goes there and says, look at my black friend over there, that's my black friend, look at him, yeah, cheer for him, then no.
Can you imagine if he's going there to scout land to build a new Trump Towers?
No, he's going there and he's going to come with the bars. He's going to be like, you see, this is why I came out here, because I know the black people are behind me. They trusting me, and I know as the last slave that was one of my ancestors, he's gonna come with one of these bars.
My
and he's gonna
father
be there.
freed the last black slave.
Yes, my father was he released Ade. He released him as his full name, not his slave name. He's gonna be there chatting bare rubbish. But he's not coming. He's going to be there spitting bars. Trust me.
And in honor of Juneteenth, I am going to build a new Trump Tower and just solely employ black people.
And it's going to be huge.
And they'll do the labor, and the labor will be done but for free. And if they don't work hard enough, we're going to whip them. We're going to whip them like we did their ancestors. That's what he's going to come in and tell them. He's going to spit bars.
I would also like to add that people that want to come, you have to send off for an invite or wherever it is. There's a what's that thing when you tick the box?
Disclaimer or the thing or the
there's a disclaimer saying basically, if you catch corona here, that's your business. You cannot sue the president of the United States. It come at your own risk.
I'm assuming that was the same thing that happened with the Dave Chappelle one, because they was all there with their masks and whatnot, and he was saying this is probably the first. What did he say? It was like the first
outdoor concert.
Gathering.
The one that they've had in a while. So I'm assuming they also had to sign something or waiver to say. In fact, I think they showed at the beginning them signing something to say that if they catch corona, that's their business.
Because there were checkpoints where people were taking people's temperatures, isn't it?
Yeah, and they were obviously wearing masks and whatnot. Bro, that's a new normal in my workplace, to take your temperature before you come in the workplace. Rags. Wow. Yeah, if your temperature's high, bro, they tell you to sit down for a bit. They take it again. If you're high still, they tell you to go home. Don't come back again until your temperature's the way it's supposed to be.
Wow.
What's considered high?
above what they say in it. Whatever they say,
28 and above. I think it's higher.
I can't remember what the number is, but
28
whatever.
and above.
No, above 38.
I think it's 38. Yeah, but whatever the number is, if you're higher than that, you must go home. They did a lot of things in my workplace now, though. They're giving us free lunches as well and breakfast to stop us from going to the shop and all that type of stuff.
I feel sorry for people that run hot normally, though.
Well, if you run hot, you stay at home, innit? They're simple things. You work from home. They're not telling you not to work. They're telling you that you can't come around here.
No, but I'm saying like somebody who just their nominal body temperature is 37 and a half, maybe 38 is their normal body temperature, and they wouldn't be considered to be feverish until they've gone like 39, 40. Whereas, because it's I'm sure that this is a range, isn't it? It's not
Potentially.
it's not an absolute number, and I'm sure that the scientists that come up with this number came up with it as white people for white people. I think the core temperature of a black person is going to be different to the core temperature of a white person just because of how they're environmentally
Well, we've been
evolved.
taking our temperature. We've been taking our temperature in my family, and it's 37 is like the highest it gets to. 36 is normal.
Because I know that I've been 38 sometimes, not like in this time period, but I've been 38 at times, and
That's
normal.
because you're so hard, simple. Oh my God, those dreads.
It's probably his hair.
This black.
I'm being real.
No, it does retain heat.
Yeah, it does retain heat. I get that, but
Man said I'm attacking him. Like, I know, because my wife has the same issue. She's always hot, and I believe it's the hair.
You can only come to work if you're cold-blooded.
Yeah, yeah, man. My workplace is not ramping. They've put all the stickers down. Hey, you have to be spacing. You can only go certain ways now. So my workplace turned IKEA now, so you can only go it's like a maze. You can only go one way or whatever to get in and get out of certain places. So yeah, man, they're not ramping. People going back to work. You're gonna get to your offices and see some changes.
What did you guys think of the Dave Chappelle thing?
Boy, I thought it was. I didn't know what to expect. I watched it a lot later than everybody else did that day because everybody seemed to have watched it before I had. So I kind of knew that it was a deep thing that he was going to be talking about. But he looked like he was either very high or very drunk when he did what he was doing. But it's just Dave Chappelle's just brilliant, isn't it? I see that he's getting a lot of backlash though already.
Is he?
Yeah.
I ain't seen it. What for?
Because he only mentioned black men, the killing of black men.
Oh, good grief. Okay, fair enough.
But I think the reason I'm not to obviously I can't speak for him, but I think after watching the show itself, I think the reason why he was so focused on George Floyd as a and not so much Breonna Taylor, because I'm assuming those are the two that they're going to be referring to, because he was talking more about George Floyd and then he spoke about other people other black men that had been killed in the past. The ones he was talking about are the ones that I was captured on video, and he actually saw the people dying. Whereas with Breonna Taylor, I'm not saying that hers is any less impactful, but we don't see Breonna Taylor in her bed getting shot. You have to imagine that. You have to imagine somebody going into a house and shooting her and killing her. And that image is a bad image and is a terrible image to have. But you're still different from seeing the actual video of the person getting killed. So I think that's why some people find it a lot harder to get the George Floyd thing out of their brain when it came to Chappelle anyway, because he saw it. And I think a lot of the material that he was saying became because of what he saw rather than what he's heard. We hear about people getting killed by the police all the time, but we don't always see it. I think with this particular murder, somebody's waiting for me to stop so they can speak. Because of this particular murder and it being seen, I think it made it a lot harder for him to just blanket, not acknowledge it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the points that he made or correlations he made, obviously to the time, he was correlating it to the time of his birth and a few other things. And because he stated before he'd spoken about this form of uprising coming on previous stand-ups that he's done, he'd been speaking about the killing of black men for a period of time and that a change is going to start happening. So it's like George Floyd was just the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak.
I asked a question on Twitter this week. Do you, after I saw this, do you think Dave Chappelle is now a griot? because that wasn't. You said his Wahala said something basically alluding to like something that he'd written down as a part of his part. That for me, that wasn't. He didn't write anything down. That was him just expressing himself. I don't think he worked at it. It wasn't a comedy show, as far as I'm concerned. Man sat and spoke for half an hour, and we listened. Has man transcended comedy, and he's now a Griot?
This is what's so funny. This is what is so funny, because after I watched it, I actually wrote a tweet that said virtually that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, verbatim, the tweet went something like, "You do realize Mr. Chappelle has transcended comedy, right?" And then I think about an hour, maybe within an hour after I'd written that, I saw your tweet that you had written after I had written my one. So I was like sitting there looking at it thinking, well, imagine that. It's not only me that's thinking the same thing, that you come out with the same thing. I think definitely, I know it was only half an hour, but I think he transcended comedy completely there.
I don't think it's anything special for Dave Chappelle, if I'm completely honest.
No, let me land.
Didn't his mother call him that though? At the didn't he state that at the Mark Twain Awards? He said his mum would call him a Griot.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see the Mark Twain Awards.
You need to watch that. There was something like that. Yeah, there. But yeah, carry on, Simple.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, my statement was more of a cementing of something that I'd realized, because Dave Chappelle is incredibly funny, but I can also see when Dave Chappelle is being incredibly funny and when there is humor in a very, very serious thing that he's saying. And I've noticed more and more, especially with the controversial subjects he's been addressing, the comedy side and the seriousness, you can see the contrast between the two of them. And this performance to me wasn't a comedy performance. This was not in any way, shape or form. Yeah, like there was one or two gags in there and you did laugh a little bit, but it wasn't, I think the subject matter was so serious and stuff that you realized that it wasn't comedy. It was beyond comedy. It was something else. So when you, sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say he might have had more material later on that he might use later, but I just think that he thought that this was not the time. Well, he said it in the show. This is not the time for comedy. This is not a time for a comedian to come out and make these statements. I don't know why people are asking for me, the comedian, to come out and be the joker in this situation. There's nothing to joke about.
To make light of the subject, yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're asking me to be the court jester to liven up the mood. When, as Stav says, I'm not a court jester. I'm the person that comes to talk about I come to talk about the realness, the news, what's going on around me and my thoughts on it. He's come to tell us a story, which is what he did, I think.
Yeah, he's a storyteller. Essentially, he's from the aspect of observational comedy. He's an observationalist, so he will speak from what he sees and what he's experienced. Whereas a lot of other comedians will change the dynamic of their content to be more humorous and be more comical. But with Chappelle, he's like, this is what I've experienced, this is what I've seen, and this is how I'm going to relay it back to you. There may be elements of comedy in it, and most people take more of the comedy out of it than the message I'm trying to convey.
Well, for me, in answer to the question, is he a Griot? I would say yes. I'm saying yes, maybe not 100% knowing whether he definitely is a Griot or not, but I know that he's more than a comedian, boy. That's for damn sure. And if you say Griot, I'm not going to argue with you.
I think like something like because Wahala said you believe he's done that before, or because when Simple said what he said, he's like he's already done that. What did he mean?
He does it every single show he does. A large portion of his show is him talking serious stuff, and then he'll throw in some jokes somewhere. But he's talking serious stuff. He's talking about the topic. So he's talked about the LGBT community in the last one. That was his topic to talk about, because that was a thing that people was discussing quite heavily, and especially with regards to him. And they were saying how he's I don't know what they were saying, but they were saying something about him anyway. And he obviously had to feel like he needed to address it. Same thing with this. Remember, somebody said to him that he hasn't addressed the situation, and he then felt the need that he has to address it. That's who he is. He does this every comedy show he does. It's just that a lot of the other times he has more jokes to talk about. With this one, he's just like, there is nothing to be funny about, even though he did still make jokes. But there's nothing to be funny about.
Let me go about explain the Wikipedia definition of Griot. It says a Griot is a West African historian, storyteller, praise singer, poet, or musician. The griot is a repository for oral tradition and is often seen as a leader due to his or her position as an advisor to royal personages. As a result of the former, these two functions, they are sometimes called a bard. Not that I know what a bard is. So for me, it's like his comedy, he has transcended just being a comedian.
She told George Floyd's rap record on the internet, oh, he was this, he did that, and he's a drug addict, and he's not a hero, and why does the black community make him a hero? Why do you choose him as a hero? We didn't choose him, you did. They killed him, and that wasn't right, so he's the guy. We're not desperate for heroes in the black community. Any nigga that survives this nightmare is my goddamned hero.
He's gone beyond that. Most good comedians, because I think Webbs, he said observational comedian. I think it's an oxymoron, or it doesn't. Or all good comedians are observationalists. That is what they do. They see and they regurgitate in a funny way. That is comedy, as far as I'm concerned. And I think the good comedians work on a different level. I think good comedians actually work on a different level. I think they're geniuses, and people just don't. They just that's it. So people like him and whoever, they're geniuses. Someone like a Cat Williams is a genius. The jokes that he makes, everybody will see the same circumstance he sees. These great comedians, but it's not. But the way they can flip it, turn it, dissect it, and then regurgitate it back to you in a funny way is because they were so good at, looking underneath the hair of this situation that the majority of people don't do or can't do.
That's how the fuck our government treat us. Just tell us shit don't make no sense. What the fuck are we still doing in Iraq? Can somebody tell me, ain't we killed everybody? That's why I love America. We some goddamn bullies. We don't give a shit. We be on CNN like, say our name, bitch. Say it. Say it 3 times. To see if we don't come over there and kill everybody. You don't believe we gangsters? Tell me what the Iraqi uniform look like. Don't worry, I'll wait. Cause you ain't never seen that motherfucker. We ain't killing they army, nigga. We killing them. We over there killing niggas in sweatpants, tank tops, flip-flops, and a cowboy hat. You shouldn't have been talking shit. Our government pimps, they get on the news, they act like we ain't even over there killing real people. They don't never get on the news and say today we killed 4 men, 3 women, and 2 children. They use a word niggas can't readily identify. Today we killed a group of insurgents. Niggas be at the house like, I don't even know no motherfucking insurgents. You can kill all them motherfuckers. I don't have not one insurgent friend.
Good comedians, that's what they do. That's why it's funny. They squeeze out the funny in the situation, which is why they can talk about death or all manner of nasty things and make you laugh and make you even feel bad about laughing. But it's because they can squeeze that ounce of truth and funniness out of a situation. But I think there is a level where, that you hear about people, sometimes if they're having sex, they transcend. You hear about sports people, it get to a moment in a certain game or in a certain race where they transcend, they go to another level. It's like a euphoric thing. I think this moment in time, Dave Chappelle has transcended comedy to the point where he's now like, this 846 is a stamp in time. You can take that and put it in a bottle and send it 50 years down the line, and someone can look at that, and that is a mark of our time. Whereas the rest of his shows were not necessarily. They were, for me, they were very funny. They were very intelligent. He was, marking what was happening within his life and in society as a whole. But they're not markers of time. Like certain films are markers of time. Certain things are just that is a mark of time. So he's gone. I'm very interested to see how he goes moving forward if he continues down this path, because I've realized when I wasn't laughing that I didn't care. I was enjoying listening to this man say his stories. And how often can you say that about somebody? Like outside of podcasts, where I guess people that are listening to us probably listen to other podcasts, so they're happy to listen to people talk for an hour, 2 hours. But how often are you happy to sit there and hear somebody just talk to you?
The thing about Dave Chappelle is that he seems like he's so comfortable with himself that he doesn't feel a need to filter what he's saying to his audience or to anybody he's talking about. He's just happy to say what he needs to say, and he thinks that whatever he's saying is the correct thing to say. And I think that's why when people listen to him, they have a kind of like respect for the things he says. I don't know. Maybe they think, okay, even if I don't like what you're saying, I respect it because it seems like it's authentic. There's an authenticity about him.
I'll be honest with you. The time when I had decided that Dave Chappelle is gone as a comedian was, you know, the sketch where he says that he doesn't write material anymore.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, he's so funny that he doesn't even write material anymore. He just puts a bunch of things on post-it notes inside of a bowl and then pulls one out. Puts the punchlines in a bowl and then pulls it out and then works a joke into the punchline. That was the time when I looked at it and I thought, okay, this is, he's freestyle comedy now. That's really like the roots of it. That is the equivalent of freestyle off the dome rapping or what have you. Like, he's gone back to where we were when we used to cuss each other and it was just there on the spot. A man mentioned something and you got to go for it. He's doing it on a stage now with comedy, and he's having to be really, really clever with the material. So that was when I was like, yeah, as a comedian, he's gone. I think in my mind I said something like along the lines of he's clocked comedy like it was a computer game. Like, he's got to the last level. There's no DLC for this. He's already 100%ed the comedy. Like, there's something else to come. So when this came out, I was like, yeah, you know, I felt vindicated in my judgment.
Your favorite comedian's favorite comedian is Dave Chappelle, right about now.
From what I heard, it's who's the one that passed away? The big chap.
Red Fox.
No. You're talking about I know you're talking about, no. The guy that's very, very raw. Very, very, very raw. I forget his name now, man.
I know the last name's O'Neill. I can't remember his first name.
Patrice O'Neill.
Okay, yeah.
The amount of comedians I've heard say they can't touch Patrice. Like, they themselves say, I can't touch Patrice. Patrice's level of comedy was on a different flex.
I'm trying to like make it so women just like understand a little bit of like just to sympathize. It's like we're like sport fishermen. This is what I'm saying. Men like to fish, and sport fishing is different from catching fish for food. You just get it, you catch it, and you show your friends. Because you want them to know that you can catch fish. You take a couple of pictures so you can show people the fish that you have the ability to catch. And then you release it back into the water. But a lot of women in here, you have boyfriends or husbands. You a fish that jump back on the boat. And just was like flapping, looking at me like, hi, I was wondering if you're gonna be fishing here again next week. Like, yeah, for other fish, get off my boat. Is that how you treat all the fish? You'd be like, oh, God damn. Nope, I'm sorry, sweetie. You're the last fish I ever wanted to be with. Now you stuck. Stuck with the last fish who was loving you and fighting hard to be on your boat. Then she got comfortable, and now instead of doing this, she's like, so we've been together for like a year now. Why do you still have a boat? You'd be like, so what's she trying to say? I can't catch fish no more? Why do you need to catch a fish? Because if I lose my ability to catch fish, then you're not gonna find me sexy no more. So you gotta smell fish on me so that you know I can catch fish so you can act right.
And he's the same one. Go look at his sketches, his shows as well. Very observational. But the thing with him is, as much as he observes and he's, he breaks down society, he breaks down relationships a lot as well, men and women dynamics. He's so vicious on a one-to-one. Don't ever let him pick you to talk to. I've listened to a lot of his radio shows, and he had a podcast as well. He's so sharp. He's one of the sharpest people I've ever heard. Soul's very, very sharp. So yeah, I've heard a lot of comedians say that he was the one. He was on the next level, and so I guess he would have overlapped Chappelle a little, but been a bit before. Maybe, I don't know. No, maybe no. They would have overlapped at the same time.
No, of course, it would have overlapped. Chappelle's been doing it for years.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I know Chappelle's been doing it for years. I'm sorry. But because I think Chappelle and his earlier sketch shows is different than his recent ones. I think there was a gap from when he left and when he came back. He changed when he came back.
Definitely, if you watch the Def Comedy Jams, he was not the same level at all. At all.
I would say in the Def Comedy Jams, he was trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And that was the difference. That's the difference.
It's like he don't care anymore. He doesn't care anymore. He just, if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. Fuck it. That's how he actually feels.
Like what you said before about if people that don't like him might still respect him. This is why you hear some people say it's never good to be a coon, because even though the whites might embrace you and allow you to, it's like someone like a Candice Owen, they might allow you to be their voice board because they need a black person there to do their work, but they will never respect you because they know that if you can turn your back on your own, as much as, yeah, whatever, but you know, I can't respect you because you have no backbone, really. I can respect the person that's fighting me because they're fighting me. I can use you if you're on my side, but I can't respect you. It's that kind of thing. So I think, and that's a lesson in life for people in general. Do you want to just be liked, or do you want to be respected? Because sometimes it can be that the person that respects you don't like you, or that's the general thing. People don't like you, but they can't take that respect away from you because the man stands on his own 2 feet, and that's that. So there you go. Anyways, and in fact, that segues onto our last topic, J.K. Rowling and her issue with the trans community that's going on right now. So I'll flesh it out quickly. I'll ask your views, and then we'll wrap up. J.K. Rowling, billionaire writer of Harry Potter books, has had an issue with the trans community for the past couple of years, where it started off on Twitter. I think she liked a post or something that had something to do with the trans community, where it was talking about trans men, or I think she's more interested in trans women not being actual women, like there being a difference between a woman and a trans woman, and to not confuse the two. Now, she is one of these people that says, I have trans friends, I've spoken to trans people, you know, I advocate for trans rights, but a trans woman is not the same as me. There are difference between a woman and a trans woman. Now, she went off social media recently, or she has been off social media for a while, and she came back during the lockdown because she wanted to promote some children's books during the lockdown, like so many celebrities are doing this and that for people because they're at home. Now, during that time, when she came back, she saw a post on Twitter again, and she commented it or liked it, where basically it was, I should find it, you know, because it's actually quite important for the discussion. But in essence, it was something to do with women, cis women. That's the term. Cis women, finding a different word for them so that you could include your trans community when you're talking about them. So basically saying women with wombs or women with whatever, you know, something that a trans woman cannot have because you were not born as a woman in that regards. So she said, well, they're women in it, basically. Why are you trying to find a different word for it? They're a woman. A trans woman is you know, is different, whatever, anyways. So then she got ripped to shreds again. The trans community came out for her, and this was during Pride Month. It's Pride Month right now. So they're like, during Pride, you come back and this is what you do. It's like you're going out of your way to antagonize the trans community. She went off and she wrote a post, a long thing that I read the whole thing, and I'm not one of these people that likes reading the whole this and that, where she basically said she was trying to learn about the trans community for a book or something like that, and hence when she liked a post before, she was just trying to log it into her book, a bunch of references that she was trying to keep for this book that she's trying to study for, and people took it the wrong way, that she didn't necessarily like the comment for that reason, even though I don't think she said she didn't actually disagree with it, but she didn't like it to co-sign the tweet. So that was originally where the genesis of all the trans community coming at her came from. Then she said it got to the point where she felt, I can't be the person that feels what I'm feeling, and just because I'm famous and rich, I just shut up about it because people are coming at me. she believes, in essence, political correctness is gone too far. I should be able to say my piece, which is that women and trans women are different, because she's been abused physically in the past by a man, and she believes that cis women need to have a space for just cis women. She said her ex-husband used to beat her. She understands she has, I believe, a daughter or two. She wants there to be spaces for cis women because she doesn't feel that a trans woman should be able to enter that space. Because as it stands now, I believe in this country, in the UK, a man can say, I think they've just implemented law, or they're implementing law according to JK, that a man can say, I identify as a woman, and doesn't have to do any medical processes, and doesn't have to do any mental evaluation either. So in essence, you can just say now, as a man, I identify as a woman, and that's it. You don't have to do anything more than do that and maybe sign something or register it somewhere. And then that will now allow you to enter women's spaces if they allow these things to be open. As we mentioned earlier on in a previous podcast, Scotland is much more progressive than England and Wales. And I think they're pushing LGBT rights much more than other parts of the UK. And I believe they're opening up spaces for trans people to enter the same spaces as cis people, if that's what you identify with, and yada, yada, yada. So she's saying, I don't agree with that. I don't co-sign it. But more than that, because you can disagree with me and that's not a problem. More than that, the issue I have is that you lot are trying to shut me down and shut me up because we can't have a dialogue or a conversation about it. And I disagree with that, the idea of not being able to talk openly, because I don't insult trans people. I don't bring down trans people. I don't advocate for your death or anything like that. All I'm trying to do is talk about it. And what you're saying is that, no, you're not allowed to talk. It's the same with people talking about these statues or people talking about these TV programs that are being pulled down. The conversations are all arising about free speech and being able to voice your opinion. What do you guys think about this? Sorry for the long thing.
There has been a sustained effort to erode away the freedom of speech. This is one of them that Mr. Wolf would have loved to have been in because it's conspiracy theorist territory. But there's been a long campaign to eradicate people's freedom of speech, and it's been done under the veil of including more people into the conversation and having them express their views and their agenda. And it's really weird. Like the way I best explained it was, we have gone from one extreme to the other in an effort to find balance. So we've gone from one side where a whole bunch of people were marginalized and subjugated to now we've enabled and kind of provided the platform for those marginalized people to have a voice. And in doing that, we've had to also now marginalize the people who were previously marginalized. So like, it's just an unbalance in the way we are trying to include everybody. So I get the attack on the freedom of speech, but then if you were silly enough to feel like you had a freedom of speech before, then this is going to become more surprising than not. Because since I was young, as a teenager, I took note that, yeah, everyone said freedom of speech, but you couldn't talk about the Queen, or you couldn't talk about, there were certain people you just couldn't talk about. So how free is your speech?
So as far as you're concerned, there's always been a spot in society that this is out of bounds. And right now, it's the trans community is out of bounds. So
that's it from what I can see.
Can I ask a question? I'm trying my best not to pay attention to all of these types of debates at this moment in time, because I'm trying to focus on the other debate. And I think that a lot of this is now becoming everyone's trying to push everything in at the same time. So I can understand the LGBT community's reasonings for trying to push certain things, especially now through Pride Month and having their agenda being pushed in. So I completely understand that. But one question I do ask is, whenever I hear about trans situations or people with issues regarding trans, or trans people that are pushing the agenda for trans sexuals, I never actually see a lot of trans men involved in it. I only ever see the trans women seem to be at the forefront of these movements or these discussions or of these things that people seem to have a problem with, or seem to be the ones that want to be pushing the agenda of they want to have their own this, they want to have this, that, and the other. Am I wrong in saying that, or is that something else that everybody else seems to see, or is it just me that's seeing it, or am I off here? I don't know.
There's a popularity towards one direction of the transition. The popularity, I think, is to do with just sheer number of participants that are going from one transition state to the other, or transitioning to the new state. So I would say that there are probably less trans men overall than there are trans women.
I would like to see the statistics for that, actually, to be honest.
I don't actually think that's the case. I actually think more women in the UK transition to men than the other way around, which would be even more of an issue or more of a point of reference if what Wahala is saying is true, where it seems to be the conversations tend to be more around trans women, though. Cis men or men that have transitioned to women. But I actually think it's the other way around. According to the thing I read about on J.K. Rowling's thing, I read it a few days ago now, so maybe I'm a bit rusty. But I think she was saying that, no, it happens more the other way around.
I know that a large percentage, I didn't say a large percentage, but I know a percentage of trans men try to go back to being trans women again. I know that's one thing definitely that comes out quite a bit. So, yeah. So the reason why I'm saying this is, I don't want to sound dismissive, because I'm not trying to be dismissive, but some of it still seems to me there's like a, how can I put it without being offending? The privilege is still there, yeah. You've left everything else, yeah. Okay, I understand that. You feel you're a woman, you feel you're this, you feel like that, and you're saying this, and we must respect that. But the privilege of the male privilege still seems to be there, because I don't see a lot of the trans women being so adamant about these certain situations that people should abide by what they say as much as maybe the trans women are. But again, I don't know. I don't go into the marches. I don't see who's speaking for who. I don't see a lot of the things. All I can talk about is what I see online, and a lot of the things I see online, or a lot of the things I see promoted outside on the television, or especially on the television. So everything that we see LGBT community, you tend to see a lot of when anything comes to do with trans, you tend to see a lot of trans women. You don't necessarily see a lot of trans men on the TV. You see a couple, but not many. And even then, when you have people that could maybe identify as being what's the correct terminology, that might not identify as being a woman anymore, the ones I do see tend to have the where they say they're not anything. What is it? What's that terminology?
Gender neutral, intersex,
non-binary.
So I tend to see more non-binary people, women, than I tend to see, or people that claim to be non-binary that were born as women. Then I tend to see actual trans men on the television.
Yeah, I think there's two aspects to that. One is that I believe, maybe I'm wrong, you guys can actually tell me if I'm wrong or if you actually agree with me, that when a woman transitions to a man, that it's actually easier for them in terms of physical appearance. That it's harder to tell a trans man than a trans woman. That maybe there was some sort of change that happened with you.
I don't. Are you trying to say that when women change to men, it looks better? It looks like they look more like a man than when a man changes to a woman.
Yeah.
Nah. Nah.
Okay.
A lot of them look like Eminem.
Oh, with the stubble.
Yeah. Whereas there's women that you see. How many times have you seen the posts where people are saying this is a trans woman, and you're like, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't necessarily have that with the other way around.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so I'll take that back. The second thing, though, that I'm quite sure is that it would be easier for society always accepts women with more so in the LGBT community than men. It's just, that's a society thing. If a woman kisses a woman on TV or on the street, men and women is not really making a fuss about it. A man kisses another man is an issue. A woman transitions to a man is like, okay, fine. If you want to come into our toilets or you want to mix it in our world, no problem, cool. Because we have that privilege. You're not a threat to us, whatever, cool. When a man transitions to a woman and he wants to go to a woman's toilet or he wants to go into the woman's space, then all of a sudden it's an issue. Because not only cis women or certain women will not be happy with that, even the men will not be happy with that. All of a sudden, it's like, now all of a sudden, a man that wouldn't, like, I can imagine if we went to a toilet and it was a man's toilet and you saw a trans man come in, it wouldn't bother you at all, probably. But if you're a woman and you see a trans woman come into the toilets, probably even you as a man would be more worried about that. And it's not even your toilet.
Do you know what makes me? Do you know what makes me laugh? Well, I shouldn't say it makes me laugh, but do you know what I find interesting? That there's a lot of men that out there saying, "Oh, men are not all predators. We're not all this, that, and the other." And two, it's the situation where it's trans, and then suddenly you can't trust men. You can't. They're men. They really are men in disguise. They are gonna be trying to rape you. They are gonna. When it's a normal, let me not say no. When it's a man, basically a cisgendered man or whatever, doing it's very hard to have these conversations because I'm not maybe as progressive as others. So when you're having these discussions about cisgendered men and being around women and whatnot, there's lots of men that are out there, maybe the toxic men as you'd like to call them, that will say, well, what does women have to fear of men? We're not as bad as they're going on about. But as soon as you start talking about trans women, and they're being in the space
or their daughters,
women, or their daughters or whatever, but they're women. Suddenly, every man's a predator. So it is what it is.
Webs, say your piece, man, and we'll wrap up.
I think J.K. Rowling should just write a book about it if she's got so much issues, because it will sell. She'll make money, and then she can sit down and be quiet again for a minute. In relation to this whole trans issue, I kind of just want to hold my tongue a little bit because I'll probably say some hurtful shit. But like Wahala said, this whole thing about men being predators or being deemed as predators is sat with men for centuries, and it will continue to sit with men. If a man decides to change his sex to a woman in the female society, he's still a threat. And like you said, he's just a transformer trying to infiltrate the system so he can mess women up. That may be the case. I don't know. Who knows? If it's the other way around, I don't know. I can't say anything constructurally that will sound good or bad. It will just sound absurd. And this whole thing is, to me, it's trying to say it as calmly and as non-offensively as possible, where I would really love to be offensive, but I'm not in the mood at the moment. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like having to change my vocabulary for it. All of this is
this is the same thing white people are saying about the Black Lives. Why do I need to take this statue down?
It's true, but then a race is different from a gender.
It's the same difference, though.
Is it really?
If somebody says, why do I have to change what I'm saying to appease the Black community? It's no different than, why do I have to change my vocab to appease the trans community?
You've been killing the Black community.
Respect. Sorry?
You've been killing the Black community.
They've been killing the trans community.
But look at a percentage of the trans community are of color.
I think yes, and it's Black trans women I think are the most at threat than anybody in the whole Western world. They're the ones that are going to get it. Again,
race versus gender. In that argument, it's going to be. I don't know. The fight is it's going to be one of those funny fights, and I don't know how I sit with it.
I don't think it should be. It shouldn't be a fight.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should split this.
It would be a fight. If you're saying trans lives matter more than Black lives, and the Black life issue, we should stop having arguments and talking about it, as well as trans issues, then where do we draw the line?
I don't think people are saying that. What they are saying is that trans lives matters as well, and we should be talking about the trans lives as well as the Black lives. But for me, personally, I just see them as Black lives. I don't split them.
Black lives have been it's been eradicated and trying to get rid of us for donkeys. But this trans thing is in the grand scheme of things, the trans issue is new.
Yes, but I suppose people could say that what we're saying right now is almost the same as the All Lives Matters thing. We know that Black Lives Matter, but right about now we're talking about the high percentage of trans women that are being killed. So as much as we are saying as I said, but me, I'm definitely saying when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not distinguishing between the gay black women and men or the trans black women and men. I just think Black Lives Matter regardless. I'm not splitting you and putting in the thing. But there are people out there that will see them as well. My life matters more than that trans man's life matters, because I don't agree with that.
But if you look at the percentages, and that's one thing we have to look at the percentages, what percentage of trans people that are of color are getting killed to the percentage of white people that are trans?
That's what Stav was saying, that the black trans woman is the most what do you say, in danger of being killed? Yes.
Yeah,
but she's still black. I
know. So they can make a decision about which one of the two the people are going to kill them for. But
okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. As a black person, let's talk about black on black crime. If you are just a cis black person and you get killed by another black person, it was not because you were black. All right. So cool. Which is why black on black crime is a nonsense term. But anyways, if you're a black trans person, another black person can kill you because you're trans. So yes, I'm a black person. I identify as being black, but my black brother or sister has decided to attack me, not because of my color, but because of who I am in the LGBT community. Hence, trans lives matter as well as Black Lives Matter, because you have put us in a whole separate category. Because you don't attack me because I'm black. Or maybe you do. In fact, if I was a white trans person that happened to be beside you or in the same place that you attacked, maybe you wouldn't even attack me. Maybe you would have just laughed and walked off. Well, because I'm black and you see me as what, you're black and you're trans too? Now all of a sudden you attack me. My life is more at risk than yours.
You know what, Steph? You know when last week they had that, or a couple of weeks ago you had that Michael Jordan moment? That's my moment there. Okay, that makes complete sense to me. Because yes, you're right. Probably, I'm almost certain that if you look at statistics of the trans people that's being killed, I'm almost tempted to say that a lot of them might have been killed by black men.
Black trans people know that they are not accepted by even their own, as in blacks. They don't accept us. So yes, we have to fight police oppression. We have to fight society oppression. We have to fight institutional racism. But we also have to fight our own people. So that is why they have their own separate branch and they say trans Black Lives Matters too. Never forget us, because we are important too.
Okay, so I get it now. I still think that the movement at the moment should be focused on all blacks, Black Lives Matters, and I'm hoping that people can just see it as one. But I can understand why some people could say, well, no, what, we can't see it as one because you lot are also killing us as well. So as much as our Black Lives Matter, as black people, our trans lives matters as well. So I get it now. I kind of get it. I don't know why it took me so long to understand it. I was just like, I don't understand why people keep going around saying, trans lives matter, like anyone saying that they don't. I never understood it. But now, when you explain it to me like that, then maybe I understand it more.
Okay, well, let's leave on that nice high note. I'll just put a full stop and say Stavros is a big believer in free speech. I don't like the idea of you are not allowed to say your opinion, which is why I identify and understand a policeman that wants to now kneel with you. For me to say I'm not dealing with you, it's almost like you're cutting off their free speech. You're saying, it just doesn't sit well with me. It's something
they cut off your core. They cut off your breath, bruv. They cut off you breathing. I don't care about their free speech.
Okay, well, fair enough. Like I said, I see both sides. There are good people on both sides. All right. So on that note, I was big up Mr. Wolf, aka Mr. Wolf on one thingy, and aka underscore Mr. Wolf on another thing. I don't know which one is which, but shout him out. He had to do with some family business, which is why he left. We salute and hail him always, and let us go around the table and do our church notes and our goodbyes. Let's start off with who's not on mute. Webslinger.
Webslinger on Instagram, DJ Webslinger on Twitter. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for listening. My spider sense is tingling this week over another comedian named Ali Shadiq. He was a convicted criminal, spent time in jail, and his time in jail, he decided he wanted to be a comedian. He's very funny. He's got a few stand-up specials, talking mainly about his life. If you check out a story of his called Mexican Got on Boots. That's quite funny. It talks about a certain situation he was facing in prison. So yeah, check him out. Ali Shadiq, black comedian, very, very funny.
Thank you very much, sir. It's nice seeing you. I'll send those pictures to you soon. Big Wahala, talk to the people.
Big Wahala on Insta, Big Wahala on Twitter, latest people.
Mr. Simple Simon.
Yoga at Simple Simon FB on Twitter. I don't have Instagram. Gaza forever. I don't have a plug this week, but I want to ask the listeners a question. I want to know if you can help me out. I would like to know who your funniest female comedian is, and whether you can recommend a female comedian, lady comedian, woman comedian, whatever the pronoun makes you feel most comfortable. I don't want to insult anybody. Which one of those comedians is, and if you could be so kind as to plug that information to me, you can either hit me on Twitter, name me Instagram like I got it. You can either hit me on Twitter like Simple Simon FB, at Simple Simon FB on Twitter. I want to see and experience some of this material. I realize I can name probably one or two female what you call it, comedians, but I don't know who the best is. So yeah, if you can help me out with that'd be great. Peace.
Simple. Are you looking for all-round female comedians or black comedians, or are you just female comedians in general?
I'm just gonna start with female comedians in general. Yeah,
I'll send a couple your way.
All right, nice. Audience, I need you to help me out as well, though. Yeah? All right, cool, nice.
Thank you very much, sir. Bless you and your dreads. Amen. I am Stavros Bus. You can catch me at Stavros Bus everywhere. Stavros Says this week is the new Netflix film called The Five Bloods. That is The Five Bloods.
I was just watching that. That's why I was late to the podcast.
Oh, you dirty black. You dirty black. Did you finish watching it?
No. When Mr. Wolf called me, I jumped off.
Delroy needs to be in the conversation.
Listen.
Delroy, Uncle Delroy needs to be in conversation for a walk.
I gotta say something quickly.
I watched this film, yeah. So if you like to talk about the film, can you not?
I'm not gonna give you no spoilers about the film.
Yeah, we're not talking about the film. We're just talking about an actor deserves some talk. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're very, very right. There was a fellow actor that put a post up of 12 actors. He goes, pick 3 actors you'd want to work with. And I picked 2, and I couldn't think of the third until I saw him. And definitely Delroy Lindo. And if you haven't seen it, I know Stav, you might watch it. Watch The Good Fight, which is a spin-off of The Good Wife. Delroy Lindo's character in that is just above and beyond, man. He needs more accolades and awards if he hasn't got any already.
It's important that we acknowledge the fact that Mr. Delroy Lindo is from East London. I just want it to be known. Lewisham, yeah? All right, Gaza.
That's south, bro.
Yeah, Lewisham in East London, bro.
It's southeast, isn't it?
I just want to claim east for him.
Southeast, isn't it?
At ESN Podcasts on all your social medias, use the hashtag ESN Pod. Once again, that's hashtag ESN Pod to start or join in the conversation. Let us know what you feel about J.K. Rowling. Let us know what you think about free speech. Should we forgive people and allow them to move on? What about these pictures of black men lifting up right-wing people and saving them? Is that a problem for you, or kneeling with the police? Let us know all this stuff.
He's an interview, by the way.
Have the conversation. I saw the interview. I don't have an issue with it, but again, people are not happy with it. But maybe I have this savior complex about myself. I don't know, but I have no issue. This is the story of a black man with the Black Lives Matter, one of the protests this last weekend as we're recording in the UK, and the right-wing fraction decided that they're going to come out this weekend to be counter-protesters because they didn't like the Black Lives Matter, what they did with the monuments previously. So they said they're coming out to defend inanimate objects, basically. So in this case, a lot of them got knocked out. I've seen some videos. There were some scraps, and in this case, this man was surrounded by a bunch of Black Lives Matters, and this guy picked him up, supported by a couple of other people that were defending this right winger that came to fight, and he took him to safety, took him to the police. And some people are very upset with that image, because that's the image of the weekend, of this black man saving this white man from the black mob. And some people are not happy. Like, leave him, let him get his licks. He came here to fight, let him fight.
I think from a PR point of view, that image is extremely powerful and will go a long way in the argument that the Black Lives Matter people are not out here trying to actually fight and do all of that shit.
No, it won't. The image will be used as a new meme for like when Samuel Jackson is holding Leonardo DiCaprio in the background.
Yeah.
Massa!
That's what it looks like.
Do you know what? I was gonna actually say that it's almost like what you were saying earlier on in the podcast, that we take so much abuse and yet we still show love, turn the other cheek, and that picture just epitomizes that.
Still I rise.
Still I rise.
It's nonsense.
All right, quickly before we go, just 2 words. Do you agree with the man doing that? Yes or no?
I don't know. I don't care.
Well, I don't care.
I reserve the right to keep my judgment to myself.
Webbs has got the black fist, but he's hiding it in a white glove. Simple.
Yeah, I'm a bit ambivalent to this. I put it up to the universe. For whatever reason, he wasn't meant to get licks because I see a couple other people get knocked out.
He got licks, bruv. His face is all bloody. He got battered.
Yeah, that's why he got lifted up, innit? He got his licks.
Okay, that's all right. So you already got licks. That's fine, man. The man then, like, it has to show you that we're not trying to kill you, innit? But we'll beat the shit out of you. Why not? Politically, it's mad.
I could agree with that. We didn't kill you, but we messed you up. So
that's the difference between us.
I was hoping that the man did it because he didn't want them to batter him to the point where people were then saying, look how the black people have killed this man. That's why I thought why he was saving him, but you never know.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of like the point, isn't it? Like, you get licks, don't talk shit, but we're not going to kill you over it.
I think that's the case. Like, the man had been separated. Like, he was just now surrounded by blacks. He could not win this fight. So the man's like, all right, you've held your licks in it. Like, that's it. There is a point where it's like you've gone too far, or that's enough. Doesn't need any more licks. We don't need to kill a man, innit?
There's a point where you start to look like the people who you're going against as well.
Yeah, and bloodlust. There's always bloodlust. Yeah.
That man clearly watched too many action movies and thought he could win.
No, I think he just got separated because they battered the next man and they left him in it. Again, it's a Drago situation.
He does.
Yeah,
this is the Ivan Drago episode. All right, so thank you very much. Once again, use the hashtag ESN Pod to join in the conversation. Send in those questions at esnpodcast@gmail.com and we can talk about that, because the one about J.K. Rowling, I've retweeted her thread and I got a private message. Somebody's like, shh, I need to talk to you about this. I can't talk in public. And I was like, neither can I. Let's talk in private. So like, that's you can't even talk in public anymore because they will shut you down. So that's why I'm about this free speech thing. But anyway, we're talking on the pod. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. It was a good episode this week. I enjoyed myself. Thank you. Goodbye.
And remember, if you're not saying nothing, say it well. I must break you.
Slag for life. Yeah, that was a good one, guys. I'm just praying that Mr. Wolf's vocals do not disappear into the thin air.
Sometimes I still sit and reminisce.
Simple, you good, bro?
Think about the years I was raised.
Back in the
I had to
go and do some technical support for my dad and that, because it's not about that Zoom life, so I have to go sort all
and
that out.
everybody say,
That's why I had to win.
and everybody say,
Yeah, she's good, man. She said she really enjoyed herself. You know what I mean? Like, seeing everybody, cousins from America and everything, so she's blessed, man.
and everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days, when? Back in the days. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days, when?